Alrighty, welcome back to Cinema Pursuit, where in the pursuit of cinema, we talk about the movies we love. But today we're switching it up. We're talking about the TV that we love. And specifically, we're going to talk about the top 5 episodes that we love from a specific show. Specifically, we're talking about something that I've loved since I was in high school. It's Psych. And I've got a great guest with me today. Drake, say hi to everybody. What's your
Hello,
online
hello.
name?
Average film dude is what I
Average
go by
film dude.
on Twitter. I tried to make up. I was trying to find something as far as the name goes because I made that account just for the sake of talking about film and TV, and I couldn't really figure anything out. I'm like, I don't really know much, so I'm like, there we go, there it is. I'm
Hey,
like, all right,
it's
cool, that
modest.
works.
I love it. And sometimes people lack modesty. We've talked about this, but Psych. I as soon
Yeah,
because we've been talking for a few weeks, but like randomly we
yeah,
brought up Psych, and I was like, "Yo, this is my show. This is one of my
yeah,
favorite
no,
shows
yeah,
of all time." Period.
yep.
Like, where did you start with Psych?
So I believe I had watched an episode of it randomly at my grandparents' house. It was just on TV. It was something that they ended up liking, and it was in I think this maybe first or second season at the time. I can't remember what episode it was. Um, but they had just thrown it on, and I'd watched it, and I was like, okay, I like this. I liked the references that they had thrown in there at the time, and that's what initially caught me. I was like, okay, cool. And I put it on the shelf for a while. I didn't really pay attention to it, and then streaming started to come along, and I saw that a couple of the seasons were on streaming, and this is when it was still, like, in its run, so it was still on TV, it was still doing its thing, and I started watching it there.
You randomly find an episode of a show and be like, "This is good." Like Parks and Rec. I'll talk about it when we do the episode for that. The Harvest
I can do
Festival
that
was
all
on
day.
TV, NBC.
Yeah,
And I was just
yeah.
like, I watched it. I was like, I love Aziz. I like this
Mhm,
whole situation with this donkey or whatever, this little horse, little
mhm.
Sebastian. This is hilarious. The main thing was at the end of the episode, like there was like a bit of a heart there between, our main two, like the love interest between Leslie and Adam Scott's character. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name right now.
Ben,
Ben, there you go, Ben White.
yeah,
Jeez, but
Ben Wyatt, yeah.
that's what I was like. And then I went and I rewatched everything. The first show I did that was How I Met Your Mother,
Yep,
and
that
then
yeah, one
Psych
of my
was the
first
big, like,
to do it.
45-minute, hour-long show where I did that. I think it
Yeah,
was, like, American Duos or something like that. It was one of the
yeah,
episodes
the
when
Tim Curry episode?
or no, it might have been that or, like, the last episode of season 2 where, like, the mummy wakes up and
Yeah,
gets
yeah, yeah,
out.
in
It's one or 2
the
of those.
museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "What is this show?" And then I went back, I watched it, and then I was like, USA used to have they used to show their shows online too, like the episodes like week by week. So I'd be
They would do
watching
it
it
on
on
Hulu.
there. I have one of the episodes we're going to talk about. I vividly remember watching it on there. So this is one of those shows for me where I caught up and then I was watching it every week. Did you watch it weekly?
Yeah. I didn't watch it weekly. It was one of those that I definitely like at the time whenever Hulu was in its infancy and it was still showing weekly shows without
Yeah.
ads and all that fun stuff. It was one of those that I watched on there. I got to it whenever I could. We didn't watch a lot of TV growing up as kids. We were only allowed a certain amount of time on TV.
Yeah.
So whenever I got the chance to watch it, I would. And it's not until I got older and started to do my own thing that I really started to watch it. I've watched it like 4 times all the way through, 4 or 5 times all the way through, and, like, I own it on disc now, I own it on Blu-ray, so I can just pop it in whenever I want, but it's one of those shows that I just throw on in the background and just do whatever with. I have it on just because it's one of those comfort shows for me.
And it's one of those rare things where it's like the show, like you would say, oh, a show about murders. This is a
Yeah,
procedural. There's a
it's a
case every
dramedy, yeah.
week. No, you would think that this sort of show is not a comfort show, but like this
Right,
specifically because of
yeah.
Sean and Gus, like this sort of culture, like that you're talking about with the movies and everything else that they make references to. It's funny and it's comforting to be around these two characters specifically.
And it's the way that they cut the tension of all of the craziness going on in the episode of the death with the comedy and do it so well to where it doesn't seem hokey, it doesn't seem strange, it seems perfectly well placed, and I'll talk about that whenever we talk about the some of the cameos that are
Yeah.
in the show because they're done very well. They're not just cameos for the sake of cameos, which is really nice, unlike a lot of shows that do that they do it very well.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really appreciate, but that's also because the writing in the show is just so good.
Immaculate. I don't even think Steve Franks has made another show like this.
No,
Like,
mm-mm.
I'm talking about like in everything. He created the show. He did a lot of the writing, the show running. He wrote the like. It's his band that's doing the theme song. This is one of the
Yeah,
best theme
right,
songs,
right,
right? Psych has one of
right.
the best theme songs. I don't know where it goes for you, but it's like top
It's up there.
two
It's up
because
there.
they're like they other shows they have themes. Like you got the
Yeah,
Westworld theme, that's fantastic. But this
right.
right here, this is like an actual song that was made specifically for this.
And it's an earworm that's stuck in your head. I know the show, like a show that I'm about to mention, is very much like love and hate, but like Big Bang is the same way.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Bare Naked Ladies only did it for that show. It wasn't for anything else. Whenever shows do that, they do it for a reason because they know it's gonna stick in the heads of everyone else and be like, "Oh yeah, that's that. That's what that's from."
And I understand that people have their hate for Big Bang Theory. Even I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I've
I
seen all of
I
it,
still
if
love
not
it.
all of it.
I own all of it on disc. I literally have the entire
Thing is,
series
it's
on disc.
I call it this is like the most negative I get. This it's like numbing stupidity. Or it's
Yeah.
I know this is bad. Like it's not
Yeah, yeah.
this is not this ain't top tier. This ain't cinema. But this is
Yeah.
comforting to watch. Even
We
though
remember when it came out too, though.
yeah,
It
I
was like
know.
yeah, it was very obvious, like, DVD era of, like,
And it
sitcom.
wasn't even we didn't even have like Two and a Half Men was pretty big, and Chuck Lorre did
Yeah.
both of those. And even if you
Yep.
go watch Two and a Half Men again, yeah, it's still funny, but it's
Yeah.
yeah. But that's the thing about comedy, right? Comedy sometimes doesn't age well.
Nah,
Psych, on the
doesn't
other
always.
hand,
It ages
bro,
perfectly.
I'm like quarter black. I'm like, yes, this is hilarious.
Yeah, and there's so many, like, little references that I didn't catch until a 3rd or 4th watch.
Yeah.
Or if I don't know about a certain movie or a certain show or a certain artist, the Tony reference, I had no idea about the Tony reference for 10 years. I was looking at a letterbox list. There's 711 movies that are referenced in the show from start to end. 711.
And it's crazy because one of or whatever they're talking, it's John Cena and I think Sean and Gus are talking like in their episode,
Yeah.
which I'm going to talk about real soon. But like within 30 seconds, I think, or like one conversation, they name three movies, and I told you I was like literally sitting there googling these movies. I'm like, what are these movies? I'm like, I love Blue
Right.
Gossett. I'm like, I don't know these movies.
Like, you look at that list, and I have it saved. It's like movies I've never even heard of.
But that's the thing. That's how you put people on game. The
Exactly.
Simpsons is iconic for it. I'll be watching a movie. Billy Wilder has a movie. It's called Ace in the Hole, and
Mhm.
it's essentially about Michael Douglas's father. If you, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name, but Michael Douglas's father. That's how I know him.
Right.
He's in Spartacus, but he's
Kirk?
in Kirk Douglas. He's in Ace in the Hole. He's a reporter. He's like, oh, I need to get out of this podunk town, and then
Right.
he's essentially trying to cry wolf with his body and trying to fanaticize this whole situation about the media. But then
Right.
in the episode for The Simpsons, Bart gets stuck in the hole. You know, they change it
Right.
around a little bit, but it's the same basis of, oh, the media has this frenzy about this, but they don't really care about who and what is in the situation, which is
Yeah.
still relevant. Or they have references to 2000, like they have references to a lot of Kubrick movies, The Shining, Doctor Strangelove, all that sort of stuff, where it's like, you don't realize, but then you go watch the movie or you go look it up and then watch the movie, then you're like, oh, this is fantastic. So it's like
Yeah.
artists are always putting people on game. It's like how James Gunn, like Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, that soundtrack,
Yeah.
right? If you haven't heard any
Yeah.
of those songs, once you've seen it in the movie, you can't escape it. You have to go listen to it now.
It's yeah.
Before we get into the episodes, though, say, did you watch USA at any point, like USA
Not
Network?
I again, I didn't watch a lot of TV growing up,
Yeah.
but it was mostly like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and stuff like that whenever I was a kid, and then some ABC stuff. But like USA Network, I was aware of their stuff. Like I know the show. I think the show Leverage was on there. The show Monk was obviously on there.
Leverage was TNT, but it's
Okay. It's
41
kind
was
of in that
USA,
same vein.
42, yeah, it's TNT was
Yeah.
42, and then 43 was FX. So that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
my favorite three channels outside of 58, 59, 60, which was Nick, Disney, and Cartoon Network.
Yep.
61 was AMC. Bro, I still
Yeah.
is you don't forget those things. You still remember those
No, yeah.
channels. But
Yeah.
USA, they had Burn Notice. You're talking about Monk, they had
Right.
Monk.
Yeah, they had Monk. A few episodes of that.
White Collar. Monk, I
White
don't
Collar.
know.
Oh, dude, I forgot about
White Collar, Burn Notice, like these shows were out when I was in high school, like late
Yeah,
middle school, high school, and I had a
yeah,
TV
same time.
in my room, a little, I don't know, let's say like a
Little
20-inch like box TV with like the fat
Yep,
backs, the
same,
CRT TVs.
same.
And bro, I watched, what do you call it? When Osama, like when Obama came on and like, oh, we killed Osama. I watched it on that TV. That's like vibe. Because I was
Yep.
watching CSI Miami and I was like, why y'all turning off CSI Miami? I gotta finish this
Yeah.
episode so I can go to sleep.
What are we doing?
And then the president came. I was scared. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Then I
yeah.
called my parents and told them what happened. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
We love Zero Dark 30 in my household. That's all I'll say.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah.
and Catherine Bigelow, House of Dynamite, man.
Yep.
That's my woman. I can't wait. She's one of my favorite directors, man. I was thinking for our 5, we'll go back and forth. You do one, I do one.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's mix it up.
Okay.
Alrighty, Drake. Top 5. What's number 1? Or
Okay,
no, okay,
so
put it this way. I'm not ranking these. I'm just saying
I
there's
see,
5. We're gonna go in order of like seasons, I guess.
so
There's
when
100
you
episodes. 100, what,
when
112
you
episodes?
yeah,
And
it
3
was like
movies.
112,
3
120, something
movies.
like that. When you pose this question to me, I don't think you realize I'm a very indecisive person.
Yeah.
I have a hard time choosing favorites. That's why my letterbox top 4 has remained the same since I created my account. It has not changed because I am indecisive. Right?
Yeah.
When you pose this question to me, I immediately was like, "Wait, I okay, wait." And I had to go down the list, and I had to whittle this down because we were talking about how much we had to whittle down the list.
Yeah.
I had 20 of them
Same. I think I have
that I
20
liked
and then
for
I
different
still have
reasons.
10 left.
Yeah, and I had to just turn my brain off and go, "Okay, this one and this one." And that was, like, just for whatever reason, whatever impulse reason was for me to grab these. And then it wasn't until later that I went back over the 5 episodes that I chose, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's why I chose this. This is why I chose this. This is why I chose this." The first one that I chose, like, I went in the order of when they were released because I just went down the list of seasons.
The episode is Gus Walks Into a Bank. It's season 3, episode 8.
Yeah. Season 3,
And
that's what I meant. Okay,
and
yeah.
that's directed by Eric Laneville, written by Andy
Yep,
Berman. Andy Berman's name's
yep.
gonna come up real soon. But
A lot.
the synopsis for this one is Gus is taken. I wrote the synopsis. I'm not going off of anybody else. I wrote the synopsis. I hate whenever we do our regular episodes, we used to put synopses for the movie beforehand. But I'm like, if you're listening, you already know what the movie is, right? But I'd
Right.
write the synopsis myself. I hate going to somebody else's synopsis. Gus walks into the bank. Gus is taken hostage at the bank while Sean is left fighting to save his best friend's life. Sean does his thing, gets into the bank, breaks the case, and finds the real criminals and saves the day. Gary Cole, he's guest starring in this as Commander Cameron Lutz with his vest outside of his clothes. Who does that? We have Alan Ruck, who is one of my favorite character
Dude.
actors, as Phil Stubbins, who is the hostage taker, who has his gun on safety. So, like, guys obviously doing something wrong. Gus finally tells Sean that he loves him. And
Mhm.
we have that convention of the hostage taker situation, but it's a
Right.
curveball on top of a curveball because
Yep.
it's like you have the hostage situation, but the person doesn't even want to be there. So it's like
Yeah,
adding
yeah.
a whole thing to it. But what's up?
Well, one of my favorite episodes for a litany of reasons. Um, the the relationship that you have between Gus and Sean is really shown in this episode. They really start to lay the seeds of the relationship between Sean and Lassiter in this episode,
Yeah.
and I would argue that this is the episode in this situation is what kind of helped their relationship whenever it comes to another episode that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But I listened to all of the commentaries. If they had a commentary on the disc, since I own it, I went ahead and just did that instead of just watching the episode straight up. They did say in the commentary that the woman that was doing the news anchor, like whenever they showed this to test screenings to people who had not really seen the show, they couldn't distinguish the news anchor from Chief Vic. So they had to make sure that they put a name on the V
Yeah.
to distinguish the 2 people, which I thought was really funny.
They do tests like that or they'll do them online just because the thing is you have to consider that some of these people haven't seen the episodes before. And if you don't give context to, oh, it's not just Karen or Vic, it's Chief Vic. So you have like context as to who that is.
Yep. Cole, the guy who's playing the commander, he was originally supposed to play Uncle Jack in the treasure hunting episodes.
Ooh, they look the same.
Yeah, and he was the one that they wanted for those episodes,
Yeah.
but he couldn't do it for a scheduling conflict. But
Oh,
then they came up to him and they gave him like 45 minutes notice or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, could you come play with us and come do this?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure."
awesome.
I really like the fact that Alan Ruck is in this episode,
Yeah.
and big fan of Ferris Bueller. Obviously, great movie. John Hughes, fantastic. They do a very good job of taking people within pop culture and within entertainment and putting them into their work without it seeming hokey and strange.
Disingenuous. Yeah.
Just very, they're all characters. Like
Yeah.
we know who they are. As a fan of these things, we know who they are.
Yeah.
But they put them in perfectly to where they can come and have their little shining light of cameo, but it not seem weird. I love this episode. It it really showcases Gus and Sean's relationship. You really see a hint of worry in Sean that you didn't really see from the first 2 seasons because he was very much like coasting. Um, and we start to actually see a little bit of worry in Sean where something can go wrong here. And it shows what lengths Sean will go to protect the people that he loves.
Yeah.
He'll
And
never admit it.
they translate that. I think is a good thing because by the end of season 3, something terrible happens. And
Right.
season 3 was a big transition for the show where it's like the first 2
Right.
seasons is a lot of fun, but like the
Yeah.
3rd season, they're like, oh, we have to make this a little bit more serious. Everybody cares about these characters. Let's throw them into some disgustingly horrifying situations, but also keep the fun at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but this episode,
For obvious
it's
reasons.
like I said, like the convention because I love cop shows and all this stuff. Like that, I grew up watching a lot of that stuff. I was talking about CSI Miami randomly. I've seen a lot of that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of hostage taker stuff. Throw it back to Dog Day, Inside Man. I love that stuff, but this one they very easily add themselves into some interesting stuff. So I love the
Yeah.
episode. It's a great pick because even if you haven't seen the show and you watch this episode, it's one of those where it's, oh, I think everybody's doing a great job in this, and I should probably watch more of this. I think all these episodes are like that, where it's like you could watch this, and then you're gonna watch the rest of the show.
Yeah. And the interaction between Sean and Lasseter, like I was saying before, like you'll see a little bit of Lasseter, and Timothy does a great job of Timothy Omundson, who plays Lasseter. He does a great job of kind of very minutely hinting at this, where he looks at Sean, and he's like, I should probably listen to him a little bit.
Yeah,
Like he won't really like outwardly say it, but you can tell based on the interaction that he's okay. I'm starting to really like this guy, and I'm really starting to listen to him,
and
and
he
that's where
actually
their
does listen,
relationship.
right? When he gets out of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
because he's so pissed off with Cameron Lutz that he's, oh, like I guess we're gonna follow up on this because he's
it,
really pretty serious about this situation, right? So
yeah. He's maybe I should take a chance on this, and obviously he ended up
every
being,
single time
Sean
it
ended up
pays
being
off.
right. Yeah, yeah. So he's like, damn it.
I think
Okay,
it's in
maybe I
the
should listen to him.
I think it's in the Psych movie or one of the later seasons where we do get a moment between Lasseter and Sean where it's like, I don't care how you do this. It's good to have you around.
Yeah,
They become
yeah. This
brothers
is
later,
maybe.
but it's like
Yeah,
the hard road there is like Sean has to wear him down. And that's
yeah,
that
yeah,
Paddington energy of the chaos of the
yeah.
comedy where
Yeah,
it's like you can't take things seriously enough. Like Sean's energy just overall in the show is something that I admire because like,
yeah,
even he's pulling everybody in his life towards come on, yeah, this is all serious, but we have to have fun doing this. It's a good energy to have.
yeah. That's partly why I love this episode so much, and obviously Alan Ruck kills it in this
Yeah,
episode because he's Alan Ruck.
in my
We all know
house,
he's good.
he's always for so me and my dad, we always have or he'll always be like, oh, Jake Gyllenhaal, that's the kid from Day After Tomorrow. So
Right.
Alan Ruck is the guy that's on the bus in Speed. He's the
Yeah, yeah.
because he's so good. He has such a small role, quote unquote, small role in Speed, but he's
In Speed,
so
yeah.
iconically funny and great in that small role. He's in one of the shows that I'm recommending at the end of this. And he has a great episode in that too, where he's playing brothers. He's playing twin brothers, and one of the brothers kills the other brother.
Right,
Alan
right,
Ruck
right.
kills Alan Ruck. But I'll get into my first one. We're going back a little bit. It's
Yeah.
Cameras, Lights, Homicidio. It's season
Oh, dude, this
2, episode 13. Written by, yet again, Andy Berman wrote this one. Obviously, they have a writer's
yeah,
room. And the thing with writer's room, you have 6 to 8 writers probably. Nowadays, they're trying to get them to have less, so they have to pay them less. But that's a whole other situation. But
yeah,
you'll have someone like Andy probably, oh, I love this idea. This is the premise. Okay, I'll run with it. I'll go write that. So it's like everybody
yeah,
has, there's like a collective genius to it, but there's also like someone will take it and that'll be their baby and you'll get the credit for that one.
yeah.
And people will help you out, all that sort of jazz. But this one is directed by Matt Shackman, who comes up
Oh, yeah.
again. And Matt recently has a movie in theaters. Fantastic Four is his movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, as soon as like he made WandaVision, and then I was like, oh, he's making Fantastic Four. I'm like, it's in good hands. I'm not worried. I'm like,
Yeah, they're
I
good.
have no temptation to really watch this, to be honest. Which I still
Yeah.
haven't seen Fantastic Four, but
It's
I'm gonna watch it for him. Him and
yeah.
obviously the cast is stacked. I love that cast. But
Yeah,
this
it's ridiculous.
episode, it is very much it reminds me of being in Spanish class, and they have the Spanish soap opera called Destinos and a
Uh-huh.
couple other ones where it's like they're just teaching Spanish through a soap opera, and people can look this
Yeah.
up. There's like a whole culture behind this, and it's awesome.
Mhm.
But it just reminds me of that so much, and I have a interesting relationship with soapy work. I have so much fun rewatching this episode because it's just insanely fun that, oh no, the guy actually killed him on screen. How are we gonna figure this
Yeah.
out?
It's a
And then
great
shots of the show, man, bro, come on.
This is how I found out that James Roday was actually Hispanic.
Oh, yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, you probably know if you're a Psych fan. His name is
Yeah.
James Roday Rodriguez. And
And I
he
know
did
that.
put his name on the afterwards. I think after, so
Yeah,
he
like in
started putting
the
his name on his name because
yeah.
he just couldn't book roles. Oscar Isaac is
Yeah.
Latino, and in the
Yeah.
same era, he couldn't get work either.
Yeah.
So I understand why they were hiding sadly, they had to hide their name to get work, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
And that's why the Sheens did it too.
Yeah, Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
And then
Charlie.
you have Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Martin Sheen, the
Um,
goat, man. We don't give Martin Sheen enough credit. I don't think we do.
nah, we don't.
Just hearing him talk, and he played the president obviously on West Wing, but every time he comes up, I'm like, you just sit up like he's one of those actors.
Yep. No, yeah. This episode, like whenever James started speaking Spanish,
Yeah.
I was like, he's really good at that. Why is he so good at that?
I can speak Spanish
And then I looked it
well
up and I was
too.
like, oh, okay.
Except
I mean, yeah, I'm decent, but
But for me, it's I like the same way my tongue works for Gujarati, like for my language, it works the same
yeah.
way for that language. And I've been learning
Yeah.
Spanish since I was pretty young, so I was like, "Como te llamas? Me llamo Vikas." Is just like off the tongue. It's just like it rolls with me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in my blood. But yeah, it's like all these people in this show, like this, like in the show itself, everybody's cast perfectly. The guy who's
Yeah.
playing the head writer, his name's Saul
Mhm.
Rubinek, one of my
Yep.
favorite character actors. He was in a show called Warehouse 13
Yeah.
for Sci-Fi. Randomly watched that
Mhm.
show, really enjoyed that. But he himself, every time he comes, yet again, one of my favorite actors, just like Alan Ruck, where he's hilarious in this. He's funny. He's compelling.
He's one of those you look at him and you go, "Oh," you're like, "Oh,
That's
I
that
know that
guy.
guy." Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
he's yet again one of the great ones. And
Yeah.
during the show, this episode, it's supposed to be that someone else killed one of the characters on the show. Gamma Lobo is framed for it. And the whole
Yeah.
situation of him not being actually the person who killed him and them
Yeah.
dramatically going through it like a soap opera. This episode
Yeah.
is so
Like, the
iconic for
entire
so many
episode
reasons because it
this episode
uses the
is, like,
soap
framed that
formula.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's
And
like,
then the acting in it too is
it's
kind of
soapy.
it's so hokey, but it's, like, it's done in a way that it's not so hokey that it is over the top, but it's, like, over the top enough to be like, "Oh, yes, this is also like a soap opera."
Because when Gamalobo quote unquote tries to kill himself and he's in the bed
Yeah.
and Gus
Yeah.
and Shot are over him, and then Shot he tells him like he's implying he didn't kill himself. And we as
Yeah.
the audience, yeah, of course he didn't kill himself, right? Because what? And then he
Yeah.
tells him again, like, what? It's like, and he tells him, I give you 3 of these, man. And it's over dramatic. And it's hilariously funny for that. One of the other things this episode does for the first time, alternate titles, because the
Right, right,
titles are
right.
in Spanish for this
Yeah.
one. And
Yep.
every time they have one of those, I just love it. I think I have 2 of
Yeah,
them
it's
or
great.
3 of them on mine. Like altogether, we
Yeah.
have 3 of them because it just shows
Yeah.
the effort that they put in. You're talking about the references to culture. This is a
Yeah,
reference to a whole culture of soap operas and specifically Spanish soap operas. And these
yeah,
things, like people watch them more than they watch other stuff. And this is like a whole culture and they respect it, but they also don't make fun of it. They make fun of it, but they don't. It's like there's a very fine line that they toe in this. And there's a lot of flexing with that. It's not easy to
yeah,
have they do the whole thing where you see the people behind the scenes, you see I think they probably shot this in the same place where they have the actual sets for Psych. So it's like they brought you into
yeah,
that thing.
yeah. It shows that they pay attention.
It's at the beginning of the episode, Sean is like, "Oh, welcome to my world." And that's
Yeah,
what he's low key
a
be like,
little, like,
"Welcome
little
to my
nod.
world."
Yeah, yeah, a little nod. I actually like
Because
how it worded it.
I love shows that are meta. But it's
Yeah,
like being meta, it's a very specific line of I don't like look at the camera Deadpool. Deadpool is good to a
yeah,
certain
yeah,
extent. It's like there's
yeah.
other shows that are meta with the way that they like deliver lines or they're like something
Right.
like this where it's like we have a commentary about how people are like attached to characters and shows.
There's a whole episode where James Roday is, like, saying, "I can fix that," to Dulé Hill, who played the guy in Holes, and he didn't realize for the entire shoot.
Yeah,
And he goes, "I can fix that, I can fix that, I can fix that," and he had no idea until it was, like, after the episode was out that he looked at him and go, "Did you realize I did that to you?"
bro.
And
That's
he's like, "No."
hilarious. Because obviously we pick it up because it's like it's such a iconic line from him, from
Yeah.
Dulé,
Yeah.
but he might not notice it in the moment. Yeah,
No, yeah,
I
he
will
never did.
say this episode specifically, out of all the ones that I picked, I was like,
Yeah.
because as soon as I saw it, I picked it up. I was like, this is one of my episodes. And then I was like, is it one of my episodes? And then I rewatched it and I was like, oh, this is one of my episodes.
It's one of the better episodes of the series, and but the thing is, like, there's so many heavy hitters
Yeah.
as far as episodes go in this show. That's why I was having such a hard time, because Homicito was also on my list, my original list
Yeah.
of, like, ones that I really enjoyed, and I was like, "Maybe I picked this one," and then I saw that you picked it, and I was like, "Okay,
Perfect.
I'll let him do it,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Okay, I'll scratch that off the list." I waited until your list came out that before I had started to whittle mine down, because I wanted to make sure that we didn't have much overlap,
Yeah.
because I know that we'll just end up talking about it anyway, so it's not a big deal. But Homicito is also one of my favorite episodes because of the way that they all act, the way that it's like it's meta within the episode, but it's not so meta that it's weird. Like, it feels right for the
Yeah.
episode.
The funniest part for me is like the thing that puts it over the edge. The great shows, if you watch Abbott Elementary, they do this also, where it's like they
Yep,
care so much for their bits when it comes to the comedy that at the end of the show, like essentially when the credits are playing, they play the credits for the soap opera and they dump
yep,
like Sean's body. Like his character's body in a well, and then he like
yep,
comes back up. He's I'm actually
crawls up.
alive. It's such a
Yeah,
soapy thing to do. But it's that's the thing, is like this show it takes more to be funny and to be
yeah,
this astute about details than it does to just do the comedy or do the drama. To be in the middle is insanely hard, and they do it
yeah,
perfectly. And
yeah,
this is the first time this was like the blueprint for that. Let's change up the pace. Let's do some sort of different style. Let's like bring it out of what it is. And
yeah,
then they did it a lot more times. Like this show, like in this episode specifically, Sean mentions Kelly, like the girl that actually is the murderer. He
yeah.
mentions her in the food like 5 or 6 times. And I'm like, I didn't pick up on this any time before this. And it's yeah, he
No,
just
yeah,
keeps mentioning the killer. Because and then at the point where we find her to be the killer, like you're not surprised that it is her. So
yeah.
they're just
I didn't catch that
it's
until my second or third watch through.
I've seen this episode at least 5 to 10 times, and I still like I told you, I don't have my thinking cap on until like I have to write about it or do something like this. I just like to enjoy stuff as much as I can,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like we pull ourselves away from it. But
yeah,
your second episode, let me pitch this. Lassie did a bad thing. Season 3, episode 11, a little bit after your first episode. This one's directed by Steven Surgic. If y'all look up Steven, this man has an insane level of directed TV, like so many of my favorite shows. So like every time I see Steven's name, oh yeah, like you ain't got to worry. This man knows what he's doing. Co-written by Kel Calhoun and Till Meltrigger. And this episode, on a late stormy night, Lassiter catches a bust against the Cinco Reyes crime cartel. The perp catches a bullet with Lassiter left holding all the evidence in his murder. Lassiter finds himself trying to prove his innocence, and much to his chagrin, having to ask Gus and Sean to help him prove his innocence. And This is very much one of those, it's like in the Psych bag for me in terms of the tone of the show, where it's like, it's
Right.
super, super serious, but it's
Right.
also not serious. But why
Yeah.
this episode?
So this harkens back to the last episode that I talked about, the first episode that I talked about. This is where that whenever I talked about that little seed that was planted, this is where that pays off. Because Lassiter is finally in a position where he needs the help. Guy gets shot. Everyone thinks Lassiter did it because this is a guy that Lassiter was trying to pin forever. By the way, the guy who ends up playing the guy who ends up being killed, he is actually also an extra that is in police attire for the rest of the show after the fact,
Really?
and they just yeah, I like I said, watch the commentaries, all that fun stuff, and that's what one of the things that they brought up in the very beginning is that he's just also an extra as one of the cops in the precinct.
Bro.
Um, they wanted to do the entire episode shot in the police station. They didn't do that. They decided to go out and do all that fun stuff. They didn't do what they call a bottle episode,
Yeah.
but this episode really showcases the relationship between Lassiter and Sean and Gus
Yeah.
and how it starts to grow.
And it's
Lassiter
like
is
he's
at his
bringing
lowest.
is slowly breaking him down. What all these
Yeah,
shows, like, when you got like 20, 13, when you have something more than 5 to 6, 8 episodes, you can actually telegraph a like a character shift, right? We talk about Parks and Rec. How
right.
long is it between Ben
Leslie.
and Leslie getting together, right? It's telegraphed. If you watch any
Yeah, right,
like sitcom, it takes a while for them to get together. And that means
right.
for any character. And this is the opposite, where it's like they one of them hates each other, one of them doesn't care, but it's like slowly they come together.
Yeah. When the lights come off and then they go up and Lassiter, Gus, and Sean look at each other, Sean knows he didn't do this.
Yeah.
But he also knows I know how much we fight. I know how much he ribs me, how much he doesn't like me, but I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that he is proved innocent because he doesn't believe that he did this.
Yeah. And that's
Like, and despite all that for 3 years almost,
yeah. But see,
he's
that's the
like,
thing.
"No, I see the good in this guy."
The writing there is the fact, it's a very simple thing. But
Very simple.
as soon as the lights come on and Sean comes there, we see Sean look at Lassiter, like a perspective shot of him look at him, and
Yeah,
Lassiter looks surprised, right?
yeah.
And
He's like,
we
"What's going
know
on?"
from Sean's perspective, just from the shots, he doesn't say it, but it's just good filmmaking that we look and see what happens, and that Sean knows, and we as an audience know that Lassiter did not do this. Shadow of doubt, there's no doubt that he didn't do this, right? So we are
Right,
invested in like solving it. A different
right.
show would not show that. They'd be like, "Did he do it? Are we sure?"
Yeah,
And that's the drama. But the drama is proving the innocence rather than is he innocent or not. Which,
yeah.
like, it sounds simple to do. Me and Pat talk about stuff like this all the time. Whereas like it sounds simple, but it's
But it's effective.
did y'all make the right decision at this point? Because you
Yeah,
have to make that with the writing. And man, props to them with
yeah.
that. Because it's like he gets an ounce of respect for Sean
Mhm.
and Gus for what they do. Because
Yeah,
he's down
later
and
on.
out. He's
Yeah.
if this is it,
He's
I'm
like, "I'm
literally
at my
gonna get
lowest."
fired. They're like, and they're the ones who bring him back.
Yeah, and this was, like, the first time that he actually that both canonically, that both Chief Vic and Lassiter go to the psych office.
That's true. Because it's so
They
weird
don't
saying them
really
there, isn't it?
yeah, it's so weird, but and I didn't really think about that until they were talking about it in the commentary, and I was like, "Oh, yeah." They're, like, so they cast them off
Yeah.
for the first 2 seasons so much they put up
They
with for the sake of being helped,
yeah.
but they cast them off so much, but whenever they finally come into their office, it really showcases how they're like, "Okay, we are starting to really trust you.
Yeah.
We're starting to really, like, give or hold our lives over to you and be like, "You can help us. We know you can help us. We're gonna trust you more." And
Because
that's how they show it, by showing up to their backyard and going, "We're gonna, like, trust in you so much more."
they have a podcast, Maggie Lawson, who plays Juliet O'Hara. She
Yeah,
has a podcast the psychologists are in. Psychologists are in. So
yeah.
they talked about the whole show. And in those episodes, I don't know why am I forgetting his name, but Carlton Lassiter, the gentleman that
Timothy
plays,
Omundson, yeah.
yeah, Omundson is talking about it, how just his life in general and how for the most part, their scenes are pretty separate from them. So it's like from Sean
Yeah.
and Gus. So it's like
Yeah.
sometimes they were just like living a different life because they're doing all the straight scenes, and then Sean and Gus, Dulé and James are doing their scenes.
James,
They're
yeah.
all like the comedy and the punch ups and the fun stuff, and then they just come
Yeah.
in for the craziness that is James Roday's like revelations. And whenever he
Right.
like sums up the episode, he does the Sherlock thing. That
Yeah.
is like the most entertaining part, but it's also like it's a tolling thing for him to do because it takes so much energy to pull all that together. And there's a reason why Dulé and James are both producers on the show, because they had such a crucial part of creating that vibe.
Yeah, this episode was great for that reason.
So I'm zagging. I probably should talk about the next episode, but it's season 4. But your episode is season 3, episode 16. It's the last
It's
episode
the
of season
finale.
3.
Yeah.
It's an evening with Mr. Yang, and this is directed by Mel Damsky, written by Andy Berman, and co-written by
Yep.
James Roday
Yep.
Rodriguez. So it's the first episode of the yin yang sort of situation that goes on in the show, which they bring
Yeah.
back a few times. And it's essentially we have a serial killer, which yet again, another very serious
Yep.
element that resurfaces and starts to play a cat and
Mhm.
mouse game because he's found a new
Mhm.
opponent who is obviously Sean. It's Psych. It's not Carlton, even though, yet again, much to Carlton's chagrin,
Yep.
it's not him. And between all this, he asks out Abigail. He has a whole thing that happens also with
Yep.
Juliet at the end of the
Yep.
episode. His mom is taken
Yep.
hostage. Jimmy Simpson plays Mary Lightly. Mary is hilariously
Yeah.
awesome in this. And and then I'm forgetting,
Yep.
Mr. Yang is
It's
Ali
dude.
Sheedy. And it is stacked on stacked on stacked on
This
stacked,
is this
right?
is part of the reason why I chose this episode. There's a litany of reasons why I chose this episode. Ali Sheedy, I did not. So whenever I watch TV, a lot of times I don't pay attention to the guest starring, also starring, blah blah blah. I don't really
I
pay
don't
attention
either.
to it. I didn't see her name pop up, and I was watching the episode, and obviously we don't see her until the very end of the episode. She's only in it
Yeah,
for
last 15.
maybe like she has maybe what 5 minutes of screen time.
But even that she
Right.
has one scene.
But
That's
here's the
it.
thing. In that one scene, she scares the out of me.
So whenever I saw this, I hadn't seen
Oh,
Breakfast
really?
Club. So that's how like, or else I would have been like, oh, it's the lady from,
Yeah.
Breakfast Club. But I didn't pick up, obviously I picked up on it afterwards. I think in high school I went back and like I had to go through like all the comedies, like, oh, Steve Martin. Okay, I gotta watch Three Amigos, I gotta watch The Jerk, I gotta watch, like
Right.
all of his stuff. So at some point I did, all of John Hughes' stuff, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller. I did all of that. So it's like I have to acquaint myself with the culture where it's like I didn't find the
Yeah, right.
culture before. So that's one of those things. Because it's like I forgot his name. The dude, like the cool dude in Breakfast Club, he shows up
Judd
in
Nelson,
this
yeah.
show, and you don't. Judd Nelson, you do not recognize
Nope.
Judd for nothing. He's got a
Yep.
mustache and the glasses, and he's playing the
Yep.
doctor, and like
Yeah.
he's great in it. You're like, that's a great guest star. I don't know who that guy is, but he's
Yeah.
got
And then
sauce.
you're
But it's
like,
like,
"Oh,
oh,
yeah,
that's
it's
Judd
fucking Judd
Nelson.
Nelson." Another one of those things that I
But this
talked about earlier,
episode,
whereas,
man.
like, you don't they're not really thrown in there for the sake of having a cameo.
And the funny thing is, like, they have Abigail, they have
Yeah.
Rachel Lee Cook come back as playing Abigail
Couple times.
a decent amount so twice in season 3, and then she's Sean's
Yeah.
girlfriend for a little bit in season 4. But it's like these shows, they typically do that where it's like you want to have them be with somebody else, but you know that they're not meant for
Right.
that person. But she does that well. What's the movie? She's All That. What's the movie I'm thinking?
Is she
Yeah,
oh,
She's
yeah.
All That. Yeah, she's the
Yeah.
girl and She's All That. She's the veritable girls
Right.
next door sort of
Yeah.
character, right? Just in
Yeah.
the culture. So it's like what they'll do is like, oh, this person, they are not really in much stuff. Let's ask them to be on the show. That's something that I feel like personally I would do too, where it's like, I love this person, but I know they're not in a lot of stuff. Let me call and see if they're available to come
Yep.
out and do this. And then we'll have them in an episode right
Yeah.
apart for them. And for the most part, they'll be like, that's awesome. I'll love to do this. Like, it's a
Yeah.
job, And plus they come and have fun. And obviously like Sybil
Dude,
Shepherd,
I was
like
gonna say that.
she's in
Yeah.
Moonlighting.
Yeah.
Moonlighting. Yeah, with
'Cause they talked about that in
what's
the,
his name?
thing.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Bruce
They
Willie.
talked about it in the, commentary. Is that That's kind of one of the reasons.
Drop me in. I don't know.
So,
You
like,
tell
yeah,
me.
I this is also obviously because it's one of the bigger episodes of the entire series, obviously one of those that has a commentary track, and I listened to a little bit of it, but I was like, and this is one of those episodes that even with the commentary going on, I was still just, like, locked into the fucking episode.
Locked in.
I
Yep.
didn't
Yep.
care about the commentary that was going on so much because I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is, like, one of the most intense episodes of the entire series." Because it's where they
Yeah.
really start to shift Sean, because he is
Yeah.
so, like, "I've got this," like, so boisterous, so, like, "I'm the fucking man," right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's until Yang shows up where Yang's like, "Are you sure?"
No, it's the moment when he's in the hotel room and he's got the
Yeah,
bag in his hand. And James, this is some of his best acting for me. And he just like he looks at the bag and he's just like, he's got her. I'm
yeah,
getting goosebumps
yeah.
thinking about it. He's like,
He's got her.
he's got her, right? Like he took his mom, like Yang
Yeah,
has my mom.
right. Dulé or them kind of relying on Dulé to be the
The
comedic,
comedic.
yeah, yeah. It's great. It's so fantastic because usually James is that, but then they shift it because the tension is on Sean, and
And the
it
tension
is,
is
it's
insane.
really insane, and there's one thing that I really love about this episode, they make this creative decision to get Sean to piss off the people that are closest to him, to get them to disconnect to Sean in hopes, like, in his
Yeah.
mind, he doesn't say it out loud, but in his mind, he's like, "Okay, if I get them to go away, Yang won't see them as close to me, therefore they will not Yang will not touch them." Like, it's not something
Yeah.
that is necessarily touched upon, but you obviously see that where he's like, "This is the kind of the thought process that I have, and I don't wanna do that with Dule because
Yeah.
I need Gus here with me to keep me level." And that's why he asks
Yeah.
him to do all these distractions to keep me level so that I don't spiral, and you start to see a little bit of that spiraling because he's like, "What if I can't do this?" This
Yeah.
is the one true time he is tested.
But he also does the bold stuff like, when they get to
Right.
the pier and he
He's
just
like,
throws the
"Fuck it."
phone
Yeah,
off,
he's like,
right?
"I'm gonna test you."
Bro, and one of the scary parts is, like, they show the flashback and, like, they just show her, like, oh, she's sitting there with, like, a
Right.
long lens camera outside in the pier. She's there every single time, but we don't know she's there, and, like, it's
Yeah.
just freaky. There's a freaky thing of, like, the
Yeah.
unknown, especially with, like, obviously a serial killer that's trying to kill the people who you love and, this
Right.
random person. So, the
And those
intensity
little
is,
Easter eggs
I think
are great. Like, because you don't really
yeah.
notice them first time around whenever you're watching it.
But Jimmy Simpson, who
Dude,
plays Mary Lightly, he's also a guest star in Person of
and
Interest, one
Always
of my
Sunny.
favorite shows. But because yeah,
Yeah,
he's hilarious
yeah,
and sunny. But Jimmy, he's also, I mean, because he was in
yeah.
Person of Interest and he had such an effect as a character in that, just
Mhm.
as a guest star. He is one of the characters in Westworld because they made Westworld after
Yeah.
that same people. Jonathan Nolan's Christopher
Oh,
Nolan's brother, and yeah,
oh.
that's how, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We'll talk about it in a minute. But it's like like I love him every time I see one of those like person of interest people. I'm like, oh yeah, this is like high class
No, yeah, and
casting right
apparently
here.
they loved him.
And every like all the casting in this, they have three
Yeah.
guest stars in this, and it's great. And like I said, we end on a note at the end and I love that we go to a
Yeah,
drive-in, right? I mean, that's something where it's like the solve of the episode is to go where like Sean knows where we
right.
need to go, but we didn't know that they're writing this to we might
Yeah.
have more, even though they might have not known that they're gonna make another one, but they made
Yeah, made
another
2
one.
more.
And it's like Sean knows Mr. Yang when he was a kid, and all that gets
Yeah,
freaky afterwards
and
too.
I love that because obviously, like, in a regular show, Mary would be the obvious choice of being the killer,
Yeah.
and they kind of lay on that,
Yeah, yeah.
like, during the entire episode, and then it's like, "Nope, definitely not."
But see, that's the thing. Once you present something, and then you can also do the
Yeah.
opposite afterwards because they do the opposite
Yep.
afterwards, right? Because the guy, the Inspector Gadget looking guy that whatever is the villain. He's like the shop owner who ends up actually
Right,
being the
right, right.
murderer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that whole situation is this played opposite, where it's like we didn't expect him to be that, but he is the most obvious person to be the murderer because he
Yeah.
writes about murder. And then so it's like once you present something
Yeah.
to an audience, you can also tell them you can make the opposite happen if you convince them
Yeah.
properly. Or you like you put their attention
Yep.
somewhere else. And that means for movies, that's for
Just
TV,
the
just in
diversion in
general.
general.
Like when you're telling a story, hey, throw it back to magicians. How
Yeah.
that's how they do it, right? They show you one hand, but they're doing the trick with
Mhm.
the other hand, or whatever the thing is in the Prestige when he
Yeah.
talks about it. Jonathan Nolan was talking about that. He's like, I made that
Yeah.
up. That is
Yeah.
nowhere. Like the whole thing with Michael Caine where he talks about like the trick. But yeah,
One of my
amazing
favorites.
episode, and it is one of those. I'm sure it's one of the ones where it's like fans
Oh,
love
yeah.
this one the
Like,
most.
it's one of the most eerie episodes. It's like, when I first watched it, I had just that feeling of, like, angst and anxiety of, like, "What the f is going on here?" Because I did not know, and then whenever Ali Sheedy shows up, she does this performance that even in that 5 minutes of screen time, you're like, "Oh, you don't forget that." Like, that is
But
notable.
see, that's the thing. You have to cast people to be surprising
Yeah.
sometimes also, because a lot of these character actors, they get cast in something that's almost
Yeah,
too
right.
on the nose. So it's like we do recast a role a lot on
Right,
this
right.
pod, on my pod. And we recast, but it's also a thing where it's like you're casting a part, so you need to know what the history is behind that
Right.
character also, right? So it's like that comes, or like that
Yeah.
actor, excuse me. Where it's like you cast Denzel. If you cast Denzel as Mary Lightly, you're like, nope, he's
Yeah.
the killer.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the killer.
Yeah.
No, you can't
Yeah.
have him in that role. That's too much
That's too
power for
yeah,
that
it's
role,
too on the nose.
Like Jaleel White is in this episode we're
Right.
about to talk about, right? If you put Jaleel in that episode, would that make it would he make sense as
No.
Mary? He might actually. Honestly,
Actually,
he
no.
might cook.
He might.
He might cook.
He
He
might.
might cook because he's
He's
also a
very
comedy
funny.
actor where it's like you won't take him seriously, but if he ends up being the killer, that's
Right.
the surprise, right? Which is what Sheedy is ultimately she is the surprise. Like, oh, she's playing a killer, and then she's
She's so
great
good.
at it
And
too.
in the later episodes when she comes back, that eerie feeling
Oh,
that she gives whenever she does those
mm.
performances, it's like, "Dude, where the f
She's
did this
so
come
good,
from?"
she ruins other
Yeah.
performances,
Like
right? She's like genuinely, she's like she's up there with
yeah,
Silence of the
like,
Lambs,
she
genuinely.
she transcends, like, the rest of the series because you don't forget Mr. Yang.
Yeah,
If you watch the show, you do
not
not
at all.
forget Mr. Yang.
She was in a show. It's called A Single Drunk Female with Sophia Dalia Black. It's actually
Yeah.
a really good show, and she plays her mom in that. And it was just a joy watching
Yeah.
her again, in something. So like every time, like I specifically, if she's ever doing something, like I love to see her in
Yeah,
something. She's always
I
got
use
some
this
juice.
episode of, like, as a way to, like, try to convince people to at least start it, to, like, get to at least this point to season 3, episode 16,
Yeah,
because then once you do, then you should be locked in for the rest of the show at that point, because that's
yeah.
where everything
For,
obviously takes a turn.
actually, what I'm about to talk about. This is
Yeah.
my episode. If I have to recommend one,
Yeah.
it's this one, which is season 4, episode 7. It's High Top
Yeah,
Fade
this one's
Out.
great.
This is one of those episodes where I'm like, I was telling you about it, where it's like this show has. We talked about the movies, but it's also got a
Yep.
lot of culture, right? That we have, a
Yep.
Latino man and we have a black man who are the
Yeah.
leads of this show. Gus, for anybody listening, Gus is not a
No.
side character.
He's a
This
lead.
man, it is
Yeah,
Sean
he's a lead.
and Gus. They're a group. They're a duo. There ain't is 1+1. There ain't no. There's you need both
Yeah.
of them. And this episode specifically, okay, like I said, Steven Surgic back
Yep.
again directing. This one is written by James Roday
Yep.
Rodriguez and Saladin K. Peterson. And Saladin, he's got some of my. I didn't realize he also wrote some of my favorite episodes in this. And this is the episode where one of Gus's friends from college, a part of his singing group, is murdered. Right, and we see one of those things, surprising thing for us to see in the whole show. We see the
Mhm.
murder
Yeah.
happen, right? And then we come to our main characters because obviously there's something going on. There's hinky vibes going on, but specifically, Sean is confronted by the others, by Tony and June, and they try to solve this murder, right? Sean is just trying to mend fences with his friends, but obviously hijinks ensue. They figure out that Diddle, who is the other friend, was murdered for capturing evidence of a workmate selling the location of police stash houses of confiscated drugs. Like I said, this is
Yeah.
so intense, right? But Tony Todd,
Yeah, I
R.I.P.
know.
Candyman, plays an undercover detective working on a case, and he snatches up Sean and Gus. Bro, when he snatches up Sean
Yeah.
and Gus, and he comes inside, and there's like, it's
It's yeah,
hilarious.
just the show in general.
Yet again, another intro. Boys to
Right,
Men. They had
right,
Boys to Men come and do
right,
the intro. It's so good. The episode before this is
right.
Bollywood Homicide, and that's a different intro
Yep.
for that one too. And that one, for as a brown person, it ain't 100%, but like what they do with the with the context and all that stuff. I think they had I forgot the name of the person, but one of the producers or writers on the show is
Yeah.
Indian. So it's like there's a lot of like little small like influences of that
Yeah.
in the show, and then they finally did a whole episode. And this, I ain't the person to be saying this, but this is the blackest episode they got. It really is, because this is my argument. Like Saladin K. Peterson wrote
Yeah.
this, right? Co-wrote this. We've got Jaleel White, Keenan Thompson,
Yeah.
Dulé, right? And the funniest line is like, man, I wish I could have known you when you were black. And I'm just like, bro, this is
Yeah.
hilarious. But it's like they make the situation hilariously funny. And it just feels like, the way that Friday feels. It feels like it's
Yeah.
of culture. It's got a context to it it is undeniably Psych, but it's also of the culture. And there is one of my favorite moments from this episode is when they're at Diddle's place and they're like looking through this stuff and they find their
Mhm.
jackets. They put the jackets on, so it's Jaleel, it's Tony and June, and
Yeah.
then Gus. So Jaleel White, Keenan, and Dulé. They put on the jackets and then they start dancing together. And I'm telling you, the collective
Yep.
swagger that they have in that moment, I'm like, this is
Oh, yeah.
cinema. Like, and then they do the little number, and then they look at each other
It's
like,
like, "Nah, what are we
I
doing?"
hate y'all. I forgot I hate y'all. But see that, like, those are the
Yeah.
moments that I love. This is also Woody. Woody is the first
Is
time
this the
Woody's in
first time
this
Kurt Fuller is in
whole
this?
show.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah, because he shows up and Gus is he's on the table in the
Yeah, oh,
morgue,
yeah.
and they're like, and he's asking him about the situation
Yeah.
with Diddle, and like, oh yeah, like the hyoid bone
Yeah.
was broken, and that could have been he could have been choked. Hyoid bone, it's in your
Yeah.
throat essentially, but yeah. It's like there's so many elements to this specifically where it's like everything from the
Yeah.
singing and the way Dulé was a dramatic
Oh,
actor
yeah.
before their show, and one of my favorite things that you need actors to do is to
Mhm.
sell the past. We were talking about Terminator, the
Mhm.
first Terminator, and Michael Bain. He plays Reese, and he comes from the
Right.
future, right? They didn't have enough money to
Right.
show the future, which they do in little parts. But you look at his face and his acting, and he sells the horror of the
Yeah,
future in
it's a little subtle
Terminator.
thing.
This is the good girl. Is that Dulé as Gus? He sells the issue that he has with Tony and June, where it's like, he's getting
Right.
mad at them. He has like a little monologue essentially, y'all did this and y'all did all this bad stuff to me, and like I
Yeah.
loved her, right? You're just your life like you ain't supposed to fall in love with the
Yeah.
groupies, man. But it's like the way Dulé sells it, which with a lot of comedy acting, you have to be
Mhm. Yeah.
serious. And Gus as a character
No, he
doesn't get
doesn't.
enough credit. But on top of that, Dulé doesn't get enough credit because yeah, he is the smooth. He actually in real life is the smooth,
He is.
cool guy, But they don't give him enough
And,
credit for
like,
it.
I think Gus's best moments are when he's playing it straight.
A player
Yeah.
named Gus.
Like, he's playing everything straight, but that's what makes it fantastic.
But this episode specifically for me, like I told you, it just feels
Yeah.
like the culture behind the
Yeah.
camera, in front of the camera, and they bring back at least Keenan Thompson, and then they bring Mekhi Phifer. He's also a great casting, like for like guest actors. And I think that episode, Cheech, is it Cheech or Chong? One of those two, Cheech Marin. I think he's the one.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
plays
yeah.
the uncle in
Yeah,
Spy
yeah,
Kids
yeah.
also. He plays the pastor
Yeah, it was
who's
Cheech
like
that he
shot
was
in
in,
that
yeah, it
episode.
was him.
Yeah. But it's like they randomly got themselves into something that like they hit gold and then they explored it again. And this show is
Yeah.
known to do that, where it's like the alternate intros or anything like that. It's like they always do something to
Yeah.
get better. one of my favorite lines from this episode is, "Yeah, but look at the dark side. Being together makes the
Yeah.
situation worse." And then Gus is like, "Look at the dark side. Who talks like that? You the most negative dude I know." It's like, bro, it's like I love everything about this episode. We have a
Yeah,
car
right.
exploding. There's drugs involved. He's tasting the drug. I'm like, bro, it's hilariously
It's also
funny. But it's like it's
yeah,
so
oh, yeah.
psych.
It's
It's
so
so psych.
riddled in, like, what Psych truly is, and that's fantastic, but it's also, like, one of the few
That's
times
why,
that
like,
Keenan doesn't feel like he's just playing Keenan. Because generally,
that's
Keenan Thompson is just Keenan Thompson.
if you look at SNL,
Yeah,
it
if you
is
look at
that.
pretty mu almost anything
Or,
he did, even
or
Keenan and Kel, like,
yeah,
that was how you knew
yeah.
that Keenan was gonna be Keenan for the rest of his career, like, that's all he really did.
But I think he does
He
riff
does.
in this because he's talking about like, it's like, I don't know, y'all. I didn't get
Yeah.
this email. What do you mean?
I
I
I
didn't
didn't
see
see
it.
this.
And then the car explodes, bro. And that explosion is
Yeah,
real. And I'm like, every time they do explosion like that, I'm like, this
yeah,
is this is it. This is why we
yep,
watch,
they did it
shows and
practical.
stuff. But this is the episode for me where I'm like, I remember watching this on USA Network
Yep,
on the on the
yep,
website, and I'm like, it was just peak memory. But it's also one where I'm like, yeah, if I have to recommend an episode, this is the one I recommend because there's not really anything going on like in terms of like plot. It's not like Yin, like the
mhm,
Yang episode, where it's like it's plot relevant and you got to know all these characters. This is like it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of
yeah,
tension, but it's insanely hilarious, and it's like you're playing to the strengths
yeah,
of everybody. And it's like and I think the biggest thing is at the end of the episode, they're like, "Oh yeah, like we have to like everyone has to sing together. Like it's so hard to
yeah,
say goodbye for the file to open, right?" And is there any
no,
logic behind this? No. But I'm
yeah,
like, it works. I'm like, I don't know how do you get the audio from all four of them to go into the computer to get this? I'm
yeah,
like, I don't
no, it
care.
works,
It
that's all that
worked.
matters.
Emotionally,
Yeah,
it sells. And I'm like, I didn't think about it till now. I'm like, oh, that's kind of hinky, but I'm
yeah,
like, it worked. I've never thought about it, and I love
and then
this
Sean coming
episode.
in with his quarter black self being like, "Yo, I got this."
Bro. And at the end, that is the most hilarious thing to me, where they're like, "Oh no, we have one of. Oh no, we're Quarter Black." But Quarter
It
Black is
is
a
a great
great
name.
name. If you, so I was like, see, you can tell I'm excited. Like this episode makes me
Yeah.
so happy, and this show genuinely, it is genuinely
Oh, yeah,
serotonin
yeah.
to me. So
It's w a weird
no,
comfort show, but it's such a good comfort show because of, like, how much drama there is in it and how much death and
yeah,
destruction and craziness there is. It is strange, so it is very comforting to watch a show like that.
because like
Yeah.
I'm weird. I'm weird in general. Real side tangent before we get into Dual Spiders. People are like, oh, what's your comfort movie? People are like, oh, it's Super Bad or something like that. I'm like, no, my comfort is like John Wick 2,
Yeah.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Action
Like
movies.
I watch action movies
Yeah.
for comfort. Like because it's like I'm studying it, like the action is
Yeah.
comforting to me. Like I'm not like it's not like, too intense to me. I'm just like, this is awesome. Like this is just dancing. It's
Yeah.
musical to me. So it's like it's interesting, and that's what it is to me. Like these conventions, I love them. And I was like, if I have to write a show, which I would write a show like this, but it's so hard to do. Which I'm like, I'm excited to that challenge, but it's like finding the setting to do this
Yeah.
sort of thing again. We direly need it. We have one show that does it right now, but it's not fully there
Yeah.
with this yet. But episode for you,
Yeah.
the next one, season 5, episode 12,
Dude.
Dual Spires. Dual spires. It's almost like there's two peaks that are
Huh.
twins.
Huh. I
Twin
wonder I
peaks.
wonder why that happened.
Sean and Gus. I wonder why. Sean and Gus follow an email from a smaller than smaller town of 288 people called Dual Spires for their cinnamon festival, which they mentioned, I think, in the first couple episodes, like, oh, I missed the cinnamon festival. But only for them to be caught in all of the torrid affairs that are in this small town, full up with a guy in a red suit dancing to a
Mhm.
jukebox and every other homage that you
Yeah.
can make
Yeah.
to Twin Peaks. This episode is yet again directed by Matt Shackman, who directed Fantastic Four. It's written by Bill Callahan and James Roday Rodriguez. And James was so wrecked about this that he didn't want to even call David Lynch to make a cameo because he's like, what is he gonna think of this? I don't like. I can't let this man even like shine the creative light upon this because he
Yeah.
might hate this. You
But
know?
out of David Lynch, and that's
100%.
why I love it.
100 recently recent story, Alejandro Gonzalez
Yeah.
Iñárritu. He was working in London. Tom Cruise, they just shot a movie together
Mhm.
coming next year. They were like literally they heard the news. They're like, "Nope, moment of silence. David Lynch just
Yeah.
passed away, you know?" Because it's like David Lynch. It does not matter to me if y'all have seen all of his movies or not. Once you see what he's made, you must understand that this man was a
Yeah.
one of one. There's never been someone like him. There ain't never gonna be another David Lynch. And that's what I hope that all artists
Yeah.
strive to be,
You
you
can try
know?
to emulate him, but you're not gonna
Like
be.
Psych is a one of
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
project. You know, Steve
Yeah.
Franks made this. No one else
No.
could have made this. And the respect they give him in this,
It
like you said, they have 5 people in the,
Yeah,
from
about 5,
that
yeah.
have been in Twin Peaks, either the movies or the shows, and they already had Ray Wise, who was already in
Mhm.
the show, right? As the father, which is, I love Ray Wise, but I saw this before I saw Twin
Really?
Peaks, I'll tell you that much, because once you watch Twin Peaks and then you see like Ray
You're like,
Wise in this light, I am
yeah.
scared of that man. I legitimately
Yeah.
scared of that man. Even though he's in one of my Fresh Off the
Yeah.
Boat, it's a sitcom. He plays like the happy neighbor in it, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't believe you in this, brother.
This doesn't track for me.
but
It's
why
just
this episode?
I am a fan of Twin Peaks, I'm a fan of David Lynch, I'm a fan of his work. It is very much David Lynch, and it is very like, this is a way to show how much they actually care about entertainment in general, just as a whole, and how much they pay attention to it, and how detail-oriented they are, and how much they respect
Yeah,
other people's work. If you wanna make a case for how much the writers of Psych help the entertainment world and, like, its impact on other people, you look at
yeah.
this episode, because it is rife with respect from beginning to end. Like,
It's harder. So like, I think the comparison for me to this, they're making Scary Movie
yeah, yeah,
6 right now. The Wayans are coming
yeah,
back to make that, and what they didn't realize after they essentially divorced the Wayans from the Scary Movie franchise
yeah,
3, 4, 5 was that what they were doing is great takes on
yeah,
great work, where it's like you're trying to make a riff on like Scream.
yeah,
How do you do that? How do you
yeah,
make that funny? You have to research it and like, okay, this is
right.
how they did it, but how do we do this in the same format and but make this funny, but we also make this our own thing? But it's like it's such a fine
And
line
they
of
do it
how to do it.
beautifully.
And this episode specifically is a
Yeah.
entire homage, right? Top to bottom.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
run
go for
through it
it.
real quick because like the detail amount,
Yeah,
titles in the
100%.
title song, the way that they do that, the way that the framing is, the editing itself, the casting, the setting, like where they
Yeah.
have it, the dialogue. It's some of that stilted dialogue that that Lynch just has in the show in Twin Peaks is not the dialogue we typically have in the show. Besides, like Sean being like, this is the one spot where I'm getting
Yeah.
service, right? Like it's funny, we get those moments. But besides that, there's a lot of just Lynchian stuff everywhere. The music
Mhm.
itself, the scoring of the
Is very much
episode is
that.
that. The dialogue, the framing and the editing, there's a shot of I think but midway through the episode where it's Sean Gus and then stacked up behind them is Juliet because I
Yeah.
think she's leaving. And I'm like, they don't usually do framing like this in the show. And then I was like, wait, and then I'm like thinking back, I'm like, they're going down to even that level of like, we're
Well,
shooting
even
this
the
different. Where it's like you have the
yeah.
psych soul, but it's like, and this is like a 50
Yeah,
minute episode. It's like
it's
five
yeah.
minutes longer. But it's like it's so Lynch. It's
Well,
so
even the
Twin
delivery of
Peaks.
the lines is very much Twin
Yeah.
Peaks. And it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's
That's true.
that's the level of detail we're going into."
Because it's like people didn't appreciate it at the time, where it's like it's supposed to
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
weird.
That's
That's
the
the
whole
whole
point, yeah.
point. Like the show, like plot wise, like they get a spammy looking email, and then you get to the town, and it's like straight up get out
Right,
situation. You don't trust
right,
anybody there, and it's like everybody. There's something with something, right? The whole like Twin Peaks it has a lot to it because it looks like there's nothing there, right? And that's the whole point. It's like this idyllic
right,
little town. Think of Hot Fuzz, that's the same sort of base, but it's like there's something
right.
else going on. Obviously, Edgar Wright takes it in my direction of like action,
Yeah.
comedy, fun, right? but this is like, straight homage. And I was left impressed with this episode more so than before, because I don't know if it's necessarily that I just don't watch this episode too much, or it's just I don't pay attention enough when I watch the episode. It might be a
Yeah,
mix of the two.
but yeah, this is just the one that, like, to me, shows the most respect for culture and entertainment and other people's works as a whole, and that's how you know that Steve Franks and all those guys are really into this
Yeah.
kinda stuff.
And I think it is, like I said, it's James Roday. Like, James is the one who co-wrote this, and is like it's half of
Yeah,
his baby too, right? And that's something where it's like they gave him the place to, like, you know let him do this. Let, like, obviously, he believes in this, and everybody
yeah,
believed in it, and you could
yeah,
see that. And this is an episode. This is the other episode, high top fade out, and then this episode, because this episode you showed a more of the people we know, like the
yeah, yeah,
letterboxians who love, they might, if you love Twin Peak, watch this episode
yeah,
and then
yeah,
run it back, because, like, this show is just, it has so much to give. But like this episode, you'll be like, oh, like they really did this and they pulled it off, and y'all had all these people come back, and just such
yeah,
a great time watching this episode, because it's like, more so than everything else, I think this is the only episode where you have a
yeah.
full rip, where it's like we're doing Twin Peaks, top to bottom,
Mhm,
Twin Peaks.
and they do it
So
with such care.
yeah, and I understand why, James was
Of
like
course.
skeptical, but I wish he would have called,
David, yeah.
David. Like, sure, he hates it, whatever, but I like just if he showed up in the episode, and even if he was just sitting in the bar at the
Yeah.
back or something like that,
I
I'm
think
like,
he would.
you know, game
I think
recognizes
he
game,
would. I like
The funny thing was, Laura Dern had to call. She's the one who had to call Lynch to get him into
yeah.
Fablemans, which, he's such a great actor too.
Yeah,
On top of that, right? Because he's playing John
yeah.
Ford in that, and that's an insane role.
I
And
think he would've liked this episode. Like, if I'm sure he
I
did.
think I have to go and
Yeah,
look.
I haven't
I
looked at it
haven't
either.
looked, because even I saw what James said. I was like, low key, I'm scared to look, so I
Yeah,
haven't
but,
looked.
like, I'm sure David Lynch would like something like this or did like it. I don't doubt that
100%. I
he didn't respect the fact that they respected him.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, like, certain artists, they might be, like, oh, why are you ripping my thing for? But I don't think he would. I think he would have enjoyed the genuine homage they made,
Oh, yeah,
within the
yeah.
format. And I feel like he would have gotten a good laugh out of it
Oh,
if he
yeah.
ever saw it, which, he probably
Yeah.
probably did. Someone probably
Oh,
put it on
100%.
for him. But next episode, Sean takes a
Yep.
shot in the dark. Episode 9
Yep.
from season 4. Written, directed by Mel Damsky yet again, and written yet again by Andy
Yeah.
Berman. We're seeing because this is whatever. This is only an episode after, like, one episode skipped after Boys High Top
Mhm.
Fade Out for me, and we follow the crew. Gus, Lassiter, Jules, Henry, and they're in a last ditch effort to find Sean, who's been shot and taken hostage by Garth
Yeah.
Longmore, great name. And they're just trying to pull off, a heist for, $500,000. And we get Michael Rooker as Garth Longmore. And Michael Rooker, last night I saw him on Instagram stories with James Gunn. Rooker, James Gunn is smart when he comes to casting, because he
Yep.
knows great actors. And Rooker is
He's
instantly
so
just
good.
such a presence. And John Hawkes, who plays
Oh,
Rollins,
right.
the other half of the
Right.
kidnappers, he was nominated for an Oscar after this for
Oh,
Winter's
cool.
Bone with Jennifer Lawrence. I think it's Deborah Granick that made a movie. Winter's
Oh.
Bone. If y'all haven't seen it, great watch. Serious movie, but real good movie. But this one right here, yet again, I was skeptical of
See,
putting
this
this
is
one on my
also on my
list.
list. This was also one of the ones that was on there, and then I saw that you had it, and I was like, "I'm just gonna let him take it."
Because, like, like I told you, I love
Yeah.
rewatching the show, but it's like some of the serious episodes I kind of skip
Right.
at the time. But like this episode, specifically, it's like the editing, the writing of the episode, the editing to, like, there's a lot of, like, we have the Gus timeline, we have the timeline, Gus and Jules, and then you have Lassiter and Henry, and then you have them trying to figure out the case before, and then you have Sean. So it's like you have 4 different storylines that you're trying to
Right.
put together. This is like Avengers
Yeah.
level work where it's like, you're cutting from a lot of characters from different time periods or locations and stuff. It's not an episode that's easy to make, but it's like it feels effortlessly
And
great. And I just want to give him the
the
props for that.
one amazing thing about this episode, like some of the episodes I was talking about before, the emotional foundation of this episode is the fact that Sean is finally starting to listen to his dad. Despite the fact that
Mm-hmm.
Sean was so against his dad because he constantly made him do these things as a kid to turn him into this, like, super detective as he got older. But this is
Yeah.
the first time that he's like, "Well, my back is up against a wall. I just got shot in the shoulder. I don't know what to do. I've gotta be able to get my way out of this. How do I do that?" And then he harkens back to his childhood where he's like, "Damn it, my dad was right. This is why he was teaching me all these things. I hated it, but this is why."
Every episode they go to Henry and then they talk to Henry and then something clicks in Sean's head and then he
Yeah.
figures out the case. Like, but this episode is the most he's ever used, like the flashbacks of the stuff he learned as a kid, kicking out the lights and every other thing. Because it's like, I'm like, oh, we're seeing a lot of flashbacks. I didn't
Yes.
pick this up before. And it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, that's another thing. That's like a fifth or a sixth, element, right? That they're showing the flashback, and then we cut back to him, running in the forest and doing the zigzags and all that stuff. It's like, oh, this is one of their massive
Right.
payoff episodes. My favorite detail of this episode, though, I don't know, I don't know if you picked this up. Gus doesn't change
No, he
his
doesn't.
pajamas. The entire episode,
Yep.
he's in his pajamas, and it's like, I don't know if that was a Dulé thing or if that was a writing thing. Whatever it was, it's such a great detail that like Gus is so stressed
He
for
doesn't
his
even care
best
about
friend
himself.
that like he don't like he could. It takes 5 minutes to
Yeah.
go change his clothes, but he's like nah. And you know how much he cares about like his presence, his physical presence. He obviously takes a lot of
Right.
care of that. And for him to not even like no, it's like we got to find Sean. We got to find Sean. It's such a touching thing to me. Like emotionally, I'm like I love that
Yeah.
detail is in there because and like you said, 4.5 seasons. Henry is hounding Sean
And then he
about all this
finally
stuff,
fucking
right?
listens. But it's also
Right?
where their
And it's
relationship shifts. This is kind of
yeah,
the episode where the relationship starts to get closer and closer together as the seasons progress. Like, they start to come
and
together a little bit
we
more.
get the like even Henry and Lassiter
Right.
talk about, and then we don't see these duels, right? Henry and Lassiter, and then we have Jules and Gus.
Yeah,
We
you
don't, we
never see 'em
never see
together.
these duos together. But then Henry and Lassiter, they're on the road, they're
Right.
arguing when they get to the service station. The tension there, bro,
Oh,
is
yeah.
so good. And then James gets the flex with Rooker, where they have the whole conversation, like let me call my girl. And then the conversation he has with Jules talk about like breaking
Yeah.
your heart. And it's like, okay, person we don't give enough credit is
Right.
Maggie Lawson. She
No.
doesn't get enough credit because to have to listen to that and do the face acting that she does so much face acting in this show. She
No.
never gets enough credit because she and Timothy are both playing
Mhm.
the straight men. They're playing the person who has to be serious for the
Yeah.
comedy to occur. And typically that doesn't get enough due. And then on top of that, she's a love interest, but she's not. I wouldn't call her love
No.
interest because
Not in the
that
same
feels like
convention.
she's
Yeah, right.
one dimensional. She's a whole character. She's her own human being, and they give her such. See, that's the thing. She's written so well that you don't even have to argue that ever like this character's written wrong or like she doesn't have a place or she's a love interest. She is like a full
That's all of
human
them, though.
character, and but that's the thing. Even
Yeah.
Chief Vick is
That's all
right.
of them. That's even
But
McNabb.
we're talking about Big Bang Theory. Big Bang
No,
Theory doesn't
but
have
that's
this.
even McNabb, who's barely in the
Oh, Big
who's
Dab,
barely in the
Buzz,
show. He is also that way.
and then Buzz. Buzz show, bro, when he shows up at the bachelor
Yeah.
party.
But, like, this is the reason I love the show so
Oh
much is
man.
because the care is obviously there.
And they don't explain all of Buzz's background, but like whenever Buzz comes up, or like he almost gets
Right.
blown up and all that sort of stuff, it's like they use him properly
Yeah.
even within that, and that's the best work. The best work respects
Mhm.
all the characters, and this show always does that. It's like we're always bringing some sort of like hilarious
But there's
element,
depth.
but also serious
Yeah,
element
there's
at the
depth
same
to
time.
every single character that is in the ensemble.
Like we don't. So this episode, one of their most serious episodes, but they don't
No.
lose the soul, right? Like by the end of the episode, like whenever they're chasing Rollins, like Sean's in the
Mhm.
back of the truck, the
Yeah.
red pickup truck, and it turns into like a full action movie. And then it's like, oh, you're
Yeah.
Paul Walker, from like Fast and Furious. He's like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
Paul Walker. I was like, I guess you're Lucas Black from Tokyo Drift. It's like, but we're not in the same
Yeah.
movie though. And then he's on the car, and it's like it's such a death proof, like a Tarantino homage
Yeah.
to on top of that. So it's like you don't lose the comedy soul of it, but it's like we bring it back at the end a lot more because they're finally like Gus and Sean are
Right.
face to face. That's the romance
Yeah.
that matters to me
Yeah.
more in this show. But it's like,
But even,
oh
like,
man,
that
I love this
that,
episode, man.
chase scene, right?
Yeah,
Sean proved to his dad that he's trusting him. He gets on the hood of the car.
yeah.
He keeps pleading with his dad, "Give me the gun, give me the gun. Trust me with the
Oh
shot,
yeah,
trust
you're
me with the
right.
shot." His dad is trepidatious, he doesn't wanna
Yeah,
do it, but he's like, "You know what? He trusted me to be able to get himself out of that situation, maybe I should trust him with this," and that's when he hands him the gun. Like,
yeah. And
the
he did it
writing
right,
is so good.
and that is the
Yeah.
tension, right? You're right. Because the tension of like the flashbacks is that he's teaching him, but it's like, Dad, give me the gun. You've taught me all this. I got this. Let me take the shot. Right? Bro, you just blew my mind. That's true. That's the full circle moment, isn't it? Right? Emotionally with
But
Henry
the thing,
and Sean. Because obviously they have such a checkered past, but
lesser
like they come
lesser
back together.
shows would make a point of that. Of like, "Hey, we're trying to
Yeah.
by the way, did you notice? Did you notice? We did the thing. We brought it full circle. Did you notice?" But, like,
I didn't even think
they
about it.
trust that the audience is intelligent enough to be able to figure that out.
It feels like
It
that's
is,
lost today.
and
And
that's what I love about this
because it's
show.
like you need to respect the audience, and they
They
always
do,
respected us in this.
and that's why it's so good,
Man.
because it's very obvious they respect the people that are watching.
And this is the show's 100,
100,
what I said,
yeah, something like that.
112 episodes. And it's like I told you, I was like, I think I skip a few. And then I went back and I looked at the entire list. And I like they don't have a single bad episode.
That's why I had such a hard
Legitimately.
time picking one.
There's not a
Even the
there's not a
fucking
single bad
spelling bee
episode in
one
this
is
show.
good. The second
Bro, that's one of
episode,
my favorite
that's the second
episodes.
episode of the entire series,
You see, it's so hard to have your show figured out
but they
that
did.
fast. And they didn't have it. They didn't have everything figured out. They were talking about like clothing and things like that, the details.
But the
But
base
like
was
they
there.
had the,
The
the
base was there.
story. The story was there exactly. And obviously, like James, like he doing these psychic revelations and like figuring the stuff out, bro. Some of the work when it comes to like actually like how they'll show Sean and then he looks at something, it'll zoom in, they'll make the sound, and then they'll highlight it with
Yeah,
like a white, and then they'll cut back to him, and it's like 3 seconds or 2 seconds on screen, but it's like, oh, we see the visual of him picking
right,
up the detail, right? That's convention that they don't
right.
talk about enough, because I was watching it in one of the episodes and I was like, geez, I'm like, this is
No,
not easy. And I'm like, they do
they
it
do
so
it every single
effortlessly
episode
good.
too.
And it's like they get better as they go on, like the format of
Yep.
how they do it. And I'm like, at first it's like it feels like they're doing it and they kind of putting something together, but then they kind of perfect it later and you're just like, yeah, this is awesome. This is the
Yeah.
best stuff. But your last one,
Dude,
Late
okay.
Night Gus, season 6, episode 2, written and directed by
Yes, it
Andy
is.
Berman. Finally, it's
Yep.
kind of a full circle moment, right? When you're talking about it, like Andy, he's finally directing an episode. And this episode, Sean, Gus, Lassiter, and Woody, they wake up after a late night without any recollection of that night. Lassiter and Woody are spooning on the psych office couch. The blueberries in shambles. Lassiter's gun is
Yep.
missing 3 bullets. And we follow the crew through their path of remembering what happened that night. It's a great homage to The
Mhm.
Hangover, Low Key
Yep.
Weekend at Bernie's. They have 2 guest stars,
Yeah.
Jessica Lucas. Apparently, drunk Gus got game, and then Ed Lover, who is the originator of
Yeah.
"Come On, Son." Come on, I can't even say it that cool.
I
Come
can't. I'm
on,
not even gonna
son.
try. I'm too white. I'm not even gonna give it a shot.
Come on, son. And this is the highest
Yeah.
rated episode of
Yeah,
Psych on
it
IMDb.
is
And it
the one episode that is, like, universally loved by the Psych fans.
because yet again, it's an homage, but it is so Psych. This is one of their. This is the
Yeah,
basis of
yeah,
Psych to me,
and
right?
it's also another one of those episodes where Lasseter is down on his luck. He doesn't know what is going on,
Yep.
and guess who he turns to when he knows that he can trust them now that they've gone through all this stuff. He can trust that these 2 morons are gonna get him through it, and they do.
Which is so true.
That's the also the emotional pull for this episode, is that Lasseter has to trust him
Because
again.
it's like and I love that like everything
Yeah.
is upside down. Everything goes upside down, and we're just like, okay, we're in for the ride, right? Like I've never rewatched The
Yeah.
Hangover, but I would
Oh,
rather
yeah, 100%.
rewatch this because it's like you care about the characters, and it's like, oh, Lassie might have killed the guy. It's like he probably
Yeah,
killed him, right? It's like the small homages, right? Like they're at the morgue, and Lassie's wearing the
yeah,
sunglasses inside, and he's kind of on the psych. He's on the Sean and Gus board, or he's like, show some respect
yeah,
for these people. It's like, oh, you didn't get the memo. We all got to wear sunglasses when we come to
yeah.
the morgue now,
Like,
which is like that is legitimate, like Sean and
yeah, and
Gus nonsense in the
it
best way
also harkens
possible.
back to that first, or that's what, second episode that I talked about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the Cinco
it
Reyes,
harkens
yeah,
back to that too. Like, it pulls from
yeah,
that as well, and that's what's so cool about this episode, is that there are those little seeds. It all builds up, it's not like it's just there for the sake of being there.
and on top of that, we get the looming tension of like Sean made a call to Juliet. They're together.
Yeah,
Something happened, and we don't figure out that like oh they're gonna move in together. And then by the end of the episode, like yeah, let's
yeah,
move in together.
and
That becomes a
I
thing.
honestly okay, I said I haven't really disclosed much of this here. I used to drink a lot. This feels like one of those situations where you get like, it legit feels like a blackout situation where you're sitting there going, "Okay, wait, what did I do last night?" Like, it is very
Interesting. See, there's certain things where it's like The Hangover, and then like
it
this episode.
this
I
episode
have no life
actually, to
experience for
me,
this.
based on my own experiences, does it better than The Hangover.
I can. That's what I'm saying. I agree, 100% because it's like the Hangover is great
Yeah,
for what it did, right? But then you can also look at the subsequent movies that they made, and you can tell that this isn't a great idea, but there's only so much you
right.
can do with it. And one thing you can do, like let's say I was talking
Mhm.
about Parks and Rec. If they made a Parks and Rec hangover episode,
It
right? It would be
Yeah,
hilarious,
yeah,
right? It's like because you care about all
right.
those characters, right? Where it's like April is the only one who remembers everything, and that
Oh,
episode writes
100%.
itself practically because it's like you have
Yeah.
great characters. And no offense to the people like the characters in The Hangover, but you don't
No,
like
no.
any of them.
They're
They're
all
all
kinda like
very
meh.
hateable characters, which is kind of an element of like a lot of HBO work where it's like you hate all these characters, but like it's funny or it's compelling,
Yeah.
it's dramatic. But like I prefer something like this where it's like I would love to spend a day with Sean and Gus, you know, I don't know, getting, cuatros, dos, tros,
Yeah.
fritos, I don't know. Huevos
Yeah.
rancheros, getting Indian food that's too spicy, I
Like,
don't know.
it would be a great time.
And that's why it's like we're missing this in the zeitgeist where it's like they've tried, but they have not
No.
hit this again. And the funny thing is they say it in the show where it's like, "Oh, you think this is like The Mentalist because
Yeah,
CBS
yeah,
made The
yeah,
Mentalist after this?" And The Mentalist is so
yeah.
serious. It's funny, but it's like when it comes to like Red John and like the actual like background of that show, like it gets so serious. Have you seen
I've
The
seen
Mentalist?
episodes because my mom used to watch it whenever it was, like, during its actual
It's a
run. She used to watch it, so I'd watch it with her.
I my dad also watched it. Like
Yeah,
it's actually pretty good. It's actually like
yeah,
real good. Simon Baker,
yeah.
great actor.
Um, I love that we got more of Kurt Fuller in this episode of Woody, and we get to have more
Oh yeah,
fun with
we,
Woody
we
because
he
Woody is so fun, and he fits perfectly
Woody.
into this episode.
And then a few episodes later, whatever, like the whole drama's happening, and Sean moves out, and he moves
Right.
in with Woody, and Woody's in an RV or whatever, in a
Airstream.
like a
Yeah.
whatever a trailer or whatever, and it's like, of
Yeah,
course
yeah,
he's in
that
that,
that
right?
tracks.
It's like I've got two chicks, like
Yeah.
come on, man. It is like he's so 80s, and it's
Yeah,
hilariously
and he
funny.
just fits perfectly
Oh
into
man,
this episode, into this format. It's great.
100%. I love him.
It's one of my favorites.
Last episode. That'll be my number
That's fair.
five. But my number 4, because whatever, we stilted a little bit. I flex. I changed up. I zigged. I zagged. I'm not
Yeah.
like the kid from Battle of the Bastard in Game of Thrones. You know what I'm talking about, right? In Battle of the Bastard,
Yeah.
like I'm like, bro, zig zag, like what are you doing? And then like, yeah, he has to die for the episode to happen. But I'm like, okay, whatever, bro. That has me pressed so much, that detail, because I'm like, yo, if you're literally running away from someone who's trying to kill you, why would you not zig and zag, right?
Right.
And literally, Henry
It's
teaches
annoying.
him about it, right? Where it's like you need to do that
Right.
so you get the most
Right.
distance away from them.
Right.
But you can't handle this episode, named aptly after No Country, or sorry, what's A Few Good Men. I'm thinking
Few
of,
good
I'm
men,
thinking of
yeah.
The Men, Rob Reiner's movie,
Yeah,
A
yeah.
Few Good Men, and season 4, episode 10. I still remember watching this episode too. Directed by Mel Damsky, yet again. Written
Yeah.
by funny Andy Berman, yet again. They find an army soldier hung in a hotel, apparent suicide, but the whole thing stinks to high hell. With the help of Ewan O'Hara, Juliet's older brother, they get back onto an army base, crack the case. They figure out there's a dirty soldier selling weapons to a foreign national, and it's a whole cat and mouse situation. And Ewan O'Hara, played by, an invisible man. John Cena! Okay. But but no, genuinely,
I was gonna do that, and I was like, "No."
when John Cena shows up in this show, so
Right.
I've seen The Marine. Like I was a fan
Mhm.
since then, I didn't watch
Yeah.
too much wrestling, but like I had a good time watching The Marine. I've seen it like 10 times on TV. Robert Patrick is in that show, or in that movie.
Mhm.
So Robert Patrick,
Yeah.
and real side tangent. Robert Patrick
Yeah, yeah.
and John Cena. First of all,
Yeah.
villain and protagonist in The Marine. In this
Yeah.
episode, they're villain and kind of kind of side character between Robert Patrick and him. And then finally in
Yeah.
Peacemaker, it's father and son.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
same thing,
It's
it's
a
kind of
weird.
villain protagonist in that too. And then now
Yeah.
in the new season of it, they're kind of there's some stuff going on. But I love both of them. John Cena's
Yeah.
fantastic. Robert Patrick, obviously, he's the Terminator. If you taste Terminator, he's the Terminator I'm scared of. And I love them both. And this episode, it is so much fun.
It's great.
It really is, like the whole cat and mouse of the case of like, trying to figure out the information before the psych team figures it out, but he's also helping them,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of like, and you feel that every time Sean is like kind of put off his base, like he like so when someone gets to his ego, it's hilarious.
Mhm.
Like when Sean 2.0, when he comes in like I'm an investigator or whatever, and he's vying for Juliet, and he's also better at his job than Sean is, right? Then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we get to see something new, and it's like he's kind of off base here, and
Yeah.
he's like, this guy's kind of like something's going on, but Juliet's like, this is my brother. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's obviously at the end of the episode they arrest him. And my like cherry on top is that Juliet's the one who like arrests her brother, that it is her narrative of like, you know, yeah, if it's my brother, I'm still, gonna do the right job.
Right.
And it's like
Is
the whole thing, yet again, we didn't talk about the other episode where it's like with the drugs, with the Cinco Reyes, that it was the police,
right, that's
right?
the other episode, right, that he's in?
Or no, or no,
Because he's in 2 episodes.
no, it's just this one.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
100%. But like
Because he shows up again.
does he? Bro,
Yes, he does.
I don't think so. I'll check.
He shows up because there was a I don't know if it's this episode, but there was a episode where they get another office, and they were talking about how this is, like, how the office is very reminiscent to that of the Gremlins,
Okay. I'll have to look.
and yeah, because he goes and brings them, like, a gift or something
Oh,
as,
okay.
like, a
Oh, like a
office
cameo.
warming
Okay, I
gift.
got you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, 5 minutes,
Okay,
but,
okay.
like that.
Actually, he was in the reason why John Cena's in Barbie is literally that, where he's like,
Mhm.
I hear y'all are making this movie. I'm in London. Literally
Yeah.
give me any role. And then
He's like,
Greta's
"Let me
like,
come
and
hang
then
out."
someone told Greta, and then Greta's like, okay, cool.
Dua Lipa,
And then
yeah.
yeah, he's just with Dua Lipa as a mermaid, and it's
Yeah.
hilariously awesome. But I mean, that's the magic of John Cena. John Cena being like one of a genuine good guy, the guy who literally
Yeah.
Make a Wish has the most wishes granted from this man right here. Because
Yeah.
number one,
And if I met
he's a
him
humble man.
I wouldn't yeah, if I met him, I wouldn't talk about WWE, I wouldn't talk about anything else, I would talk about Ewan.
Yeah. Because he plays a serious character here. And he
Yeah.
does a little bit of stunts in there and all that. And this episode is pretty serious yet again, where it's like it's got the
Mhm.
army elements of like, you know, this is not a they take a real base of like the army, and I say army, I'm not trying to be anti-military or something, don't come with me, I'm whatever, this ain't a conversation about that, but like it is a fact that the military covers up wrongdoings, whether
Oh,
it's
yeah.
sexual assault, murder, or something like this. He's selling weapons, right? And it's like it's a very serious thing, and it's like that detail you don't think about it, but it's like, yeah, this would totally happen. Where it's like they would
Oh,
have
yeah,
somebody kill someone
and
to
does.
cover it up, right? Because it's like we'd rather handle this in the house and make sure no one knows about this rather than telling people that there was wrongdoing that occurred.
Yeah.
So it's like I love that sort of spy story sort of element that they have to this. They also have Freka Potenta who plays she's in a Born Identity. And they bring her
Right.
in to play like a whole spy too, which that in
Yeah.
and of itself of her playing a spy rather than, Born being the spy. Yeah. This episode has my favorite name from Gus. We haven't talked about any of them, but my favorite name from Gus is Guy Buttersnaps,
Right,
aka
right, right,
the
right.
heater.
I was like, "Which one are
AKA
you
the
talking
heater.
about?"
Because he no,
Yeah.
because he comes back is like, oh, okay. It's like Sean and Guy Buttersnaps. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, but that's not my name. Like, oh, Julius never spoken to me, and like Gus is so hurt about it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And like I told you, when I was watching this episode, Lou Gossett Jr., amazing
Yeah.
actor. And I was like, and they're talking
Mhm.
about him in a funny way, and they rattle off 3 movies. I'm like, I guess I gotta watch these because I haven't seen them. And I love Lou Gossett.
711 movies being referenced in this show, like, you're
I
gonna
love it.
hear references to movies you've never heard of before.
I love it. It'd be hilarious if they did reference, like I don't know, one of the other like Terminator or anything like that. But obviously at this time, USA like they used to show Raw like
Yeah.
wrestling, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it was kind of a thing
yeah.
where I think they had another wrestler in a different episode, but it's like kind of a partnership with them of like like
They trade it
we're on the
off.
same channel. Why don't we do something fun together, right? And
Yeah.
this,
They had The Miz in another episode.
yeah,
That's who it was.
okay, he's
Mike Mizanine,
he's
who
awesome.
was also he was also on The Real World or whatever it was,
Okay,
before he became The
yeah.
Miz.
But John Cena, Robert Patrick, this ages like fine wine. Like the stock for this is just going up and up. Like this will always age fantastic, and I love watching this episode over and over. But
That's a fun episode.
and the other, I'm going to touch on this. Is not going to be the last one, but I just want to talk about Pierre Despereau. That every
Dude.
time this man comes up, recasting Carrie Elwes when like
Is that who it
I
is?
yeah,
I couldn't remember his name.
and I've loved him since Princess Bride, obviously, but like to
Right.
yet again, they found a character actor from like '80s who, no offense, I
Right.
don't mean this in a bad way, but who doesn't really have stock in Hollywood right now.
No.
Everything is temporary when it comes to that, right? But it's like, you know, you picked up a great actor and you gave him work and you give him such an energy, that season 4, 5, 6, and 8, I don't know, skipped out on 7, but it's like it became a thing in the show where Pierre Despereau shows up, right? It's like having a Christmas episode or a Halloween episode. We have the
Yeah.
Pierre Despereau episode, right?
Right,
And it's
exactly.
like every time that happens, we just have such a great time. And Carrie,
Yeah.
you can just tell he's having such a great time playing this character.
He's so suave.
Yeah, he really is.
He's just so smooth,
And
and
nowadays he's playing supporting actors in bigger movies. Like what's his name? I mean, yeah, he was in Mission Impossible 7. Guy Ritchie uses him as a
mm,
supporting actor a lot right now. But
yeah,
Carrie Elwes is always creating those. And I just got to give him credit for being there and coming back to do that. Because some actors they'll just be like, "No, I'm good. We're not going to do that." But it's
yeah,
like they got to ask him, like, "Hey, we want to write another Pierre episode." It's like, "Yeah, I'm down." Right?
yeah,
So, I mean, it's always great to see him.
yeah, those PR episodes are awesome. Like, every time I see one, I kind of just like, "Oh, we get a PR episode." And like okay, I don't know if you've ever heard this theory, but there was a theory online on YouTube from somebody that Sean is bi,
Yeah.
and, like, having Pierre in the episodes is, like, the one time you kinda look at that and go, "Huh,
He's his Catwoman.
he might.
To
He might
to his
be."
Batman, to his Catwoman to his Batman. That's what it is.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
that's the elusive, central,
right.
illustrious character,
But
right?
he's in love with him,
Yeah,
but he's also just in love with the idea of him,
exactly,
and "Oh," he's like, "I like this guy."
exactly.
And that's what's so cool about the show. Like, there's so many little minute details that even on a 5th or 6th watch through, you're not gonna pick up on until you watch other things that make you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay,
Okay, I'm gonna hit my special mentions before I hit my last episode. I have no
right,
self-control. He dead.
yeah."
Season 4, episode 2. Christine Baranski. Biggest
Oh,
crush
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
her. I love that
yeah,
episode. She's hilarious in that. If you're so smart, then why are you dead? Season 2, episode 7, when they go to like undercover at a school, and it's like a 21 Jump Street episode. It's
right,
awesome.
right,
Hollywood
yeah,
Homicide. I already talked about it.
yeah,
Just fantastic. Season 4, yet again, the head, the tail, the whole damn episode. The
yep,
episode with
the
the
Jaws
shark,
episode, yep,
hilarious.
the Jaws episode,
Not even
great,
Close Encounters. Season 5, episode
yeah,
3. Freddie Prince Jr.
yep,
One of the funniest episodes from the entire series.
yep,
Viagra Falls. The late great Carl Weathers. I forgot the other gentleman's
mhm,
name. He's fantastic too. Just such a fun episode. Serious. Does everything Psych wants you to do. And then we'd like to thank the Academy. I love Police Academy. I
yeah,
love Ralph Macchio. He comes in and he does such a great job just as an actor. Yet again, someone with 80s stock that they brought back and just gave him another life.
playing the
And
dunce,
then on top of that, you know, the stock is greater now because they made the
yeah,
show, they made Cobra Kai, and that became a whole phenomenon, right?
right,
We're not worried about the new movie, even though it's fine, but it's like, Cobra Kai, they had the sauce.
yeah,
Last episode, literally the last episode, the breakup,
yeah, yeah,
season
yeah,
8, episode 10.
yep,
I was telling Drake about this. I didn't watch this episode till July 5th, 2025. And to say that I've seen the show,
oh,
I've seen it multiple times. I've
oh,
seen the movies, but I never watched this episode
oh
because
no,
I have an allergy to watching finales because of
I
How I
lost
Met Your
you.
Mother. So I've seen Parks and Rec. The finale for Parks and Rec
Right,
is fantastic. Breaking Bad,
right,
fantastic finale. Better Call Saul, great finale, right? There's a lot of
yeah,
shows that land them, but like How I Met Your Mother was the first sitcom I ever watched. I went back, watched it all, and then I watched it weekly. And to have that ending
yeah,
was just traumatic to me. So it's like I just avoid watching endings. But this ending is yet it's with the Breaking Bad and the Parks and Rec. It's so much that I love Psych
it
so much I
works.
didn't want to see it end, right? I
Yeah,
just didn't want to, deal with that. And
yeah,
I this episode is perfect. You know? Like, I'd like, don't
yeah,
even worry about all the, they have Billy Zane. Val Kilmer is, the other detective. We didn't know that the entire time he came back for a cameo,
yeah,
which is awesome. But ultimately, it's about Gus and Sean. And I
yeah,
was crying by the end of this episode, man, because
yeah,
emotionally they land this episode perfectly, right? And like I told, like I see, this is my life right here, where it's like we deal with drama. Like the life is drama. It always is going to be trauma. But it's like you have to land the line between being dramatic and having comedy because it's like that's just what life is to me. Like
yeah,
I can tell you some of the worst days of my life, besides maybe one of them, where it's like I'm still cracking jokes. I'm like
yeah,
this. I'm like, why are we doing this? This makes no sense. Because it's
yeah,
just like this show is a reminder that live life seriously, but also don't take it too seriously. But it's
right.
like, even when you're being serious, you got to have some fun because this
Oh, yeah,
show is exactly that. It is about having
oh, yeah,
fun, and it's never
mhm.
hitting you over the head with that. It's just
No,
existing that way. So
yeah,
watching this episode, it really did give me like such an emotional response where I'm like, I didn't realize how much I care about Sean and Gus till I watched this episode where I'm like, this
right,
is the breakup episode, but it's like it technically isn't, but it is,
yeah,
and everybody gets such a payoff, and all ends, but you have such a great time with it. And I'm like, and I want to commend them for ending it well because
yeah,
I've seen the opposite. Obviously, I'm traumatized.
I have
That's
too. Farscape, yeah,
how did you
Farscape
like this?
is I like the ending of the series, but it also because it also left things open for the possibility of the movies like we got,
Yeah.
but it also, like, tied it up neatly. So it didn't feel like you had to do something else,
Yeah.
but it was open enough to be able to do it if you wanted to without it feeling weird.
And I don't think we
Um,
needed more. They probably got canceled, or, it's a short season, like season 10.
yeah.
It's only 10
Yeah, I think they
episodes.
did get canceled, and that's why they did
But
10 episodes,
even
if I
then,
remember
I
correctly.
say, like, one of my other shows, it got canceled, but, like, they got 13 episodes to wrap it up, but, like, they still left us
Yeah.
in a perfect place where it's like they went out high. I would rather
Yeah.
have 8 great seasons of Psych than 8 great seasons and then 2 seasons, right?
Yeah,
Which,
right, right.
even though, we didn't see them, I don't think we would have even gotten to that point. They did such a great
Right.
job, but, what we have is perfect. And in the
Right.
movies, I'm telling you, bro, it was all the talk. We were so excited to watch the Psych movies,
Yeah.
right? And now I gotta
Yeah.
rewatch them because I've only seen all of them once. So,
Well, a little tidbit that I didn't know about the 3rd movie, or I think it's the 3rd movie, it's Come Home Lassie, whichever one that is, 2nd or 3rd?
second one, yeah.
2nd. That was only written because Omundson had a
Yeah,
stroke
yeah.
and he didn't have insurance, so they made sure to write that movie so that he can get his SAG insurance back,
Yeah.
so that he can get the help that he needed, and if that doesn't tell you how much they love each other,
Yeah, I know. And then that's
if the writing alone in this show doesn't tell you how much they love each other,
yeah.
that should.
And it's like literally like he's in a Percy Jackson, and
Yeah,
Timothy's physical issue that has happened after his stroke,
it's prominent, it's there.
but
Yeah,
even then, despite that, I love that people recognize the great talent that Timothy has and they still employ them. So anybody who does employ him in that sense, I commend them. And it's not a
yeah.
pity party, you know?
No,
It's not by not any means. It's like if you have him, he is he's a plus to your group. He's not
anytime,
distracting to
yeah,
you,
every time.
So much like big love to him because like I told you, he plays a straight man in this. And
He does it
he
so
he
well.
doesn't get enough credit for it. Because
No, he
he's
doesn't.
playing like the angry cop, which is
Yeah,
typically, it is that 80s sort of like typical character. But every episode where we get to be with him, the episode it's like the apartment episode where he's kind of going crazy, right? And
yeah.
Sean and Gus show up. That episode, it's just that you see, just Timothy's acting all around. He's awesome. He even sings
The Wild
before,
West episode,
yeah. Oh
even the
yeah,
Wild West episode,
with Josh Brolin's James Brolin,
yeah, like, you
Josh
see the
Brolin's
little bits
dad.
of him
Yeah,
there.
it's like
Yeah,
old Sonora Town, man.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like this show, like if you bring up an episode like that, like, oh yeah, of course I'm gonna remember that. Like those sorts of
like, yeah,
because they wrote so many compelling details into the show where it's like we have the some sort of personal adjacent item that occurs for a character, right? Like there's the episode, the very Juliet episode, right? Where she's waiting for
right,
the guy and then he never shows up, and then like, oh, this there's a whole other situation going on. And it's like they know how to get you in, but they are caring
mhm,
about emotion, and it feels like
yep,
nowadays we're forgetting about character and emotion even when it comes to TV. Or they're going
yeah,
too dramatic or they're going too comedy. Like
yeah,
we need something that's kind of in the middle. So
yeah,
in that vein, the TV show or movie that I wanted to recommend because even, our regular episodes we recommend stuff. If you like Psych, Elsbeth. It's on CBS,
yeah,
Paramount Plus, whatever it is.
still need to watch that.
Elsbeth is my favorite show on any of these bigger, like, CBS, ABC, NBC. This is the best show they
Yeah,
have. It is a, same thing. It's a cop show. But Elsbeth Tassioni, this is one of my favorite characters, just like Sean and Gus,
right,
legitimately. And the guest stars that they have, so it's like Columbo. You see the murder, and then then you solve the murder. So
yeah,
Poker Face does the same thing. If great show too, but Elsbeth specifically, they have so many great guest stars. Like I told you, Alan
right,
Ruck is in the show. Season 2, he murders his brother. It's like two brothers that are like billionaires. One of the brothers like gives
yeah,
away all his stuff, so the other brother goes and kills the other brother while being on like a phone call, and
mhm,
it's like a whole thing. It's like she figures out the situation of him killing his own brother, and it's beautiful. It's awesome. So I
yeah,
recommend that. Clue, 1985. That's a movie.
Yeah.
rewatch it. It's a fun time. It's not blowing your head off, but it's such an 80s fantastic time. There's a woman wearing a green dress in that. It's one of my favorite dresses I've ever seen in my life. I swear. She looks great in that. But Castle, Nathan Fillion, Stania Katic, another show where it's like it's about murder, but it's also kind of a cozy mystery show like this. A little bit more
Yeah.
serious though. It hits those serious strides a lot more. But the funny, like, affable person that you have along with the serious detective is that same sort of
Yeah.
basis. And I like, if you watch Psych, you have to watch that too. Last
Yeah.
one, Person of Interest. Same thing. It's a weekly show, very serious. But, if you like this sort of stuff, you find something in that. And there's a whole AI thing with that show. And the show is better than a lot of things on TV nowadays. And every time someone watches this show, they're like, "Can we find something else like this show?" I'm like, "It's a one of one. There's nothing else like it."
Yeah.
Psych is a one of one. There's nothing else like it, but these things are kind of close. So, what's up for you? What would you recommend for folks?
So you said, Psych is like a one-on-one. Farscape is very much the same.
Yeah,
Farscape is a sci-fi original. It was one of the first sci-fi original shows on the channel Sci-Fi.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
it was a show that was done by the Henson family. Brian Henson, written by Rockne O'Bannon, and has a lot of the puppetry. They used the Henson family workshop for some of the characters like Pilot, like Domino Rigel. They used them in the show. It is a sci-fi show, but a lot of the blueprints that we have for Sean and his characteristics
mhm.
come, I believe, I don't know if this is true because I don't, but like I didn't see anything on this from Frank's or anything, but a lot of Sean's mannerisms
Yeah,
are very similar to the main character John Crichton, who is the only Earth person in the show.
yeah,
Like he's the only human in the show,
yeah,
but he is very reference heavy in the show. So they call them Crichtonisms, is what they kind of
yeah.
coined it, right?
That's kind of an
And it is
homage to the author Crichton who made Jurassic Park and
right.
Westworld.
Yeah, and it's like Sean's character is very much like John Crichton in the show Farscape. Also a one of one show. You cannot do Farscape again. There's no way in hell.
I'm gonna have to look into this
Um,
because I have
it's
a
so good.
weird, like, I don't know, when it comes to like late 2000 or early 2000s and then the 90s. I didn't like the most I watched from that, back then is like Fresh Prince and like Martin. Like I watch sitcoms. That's
Yeah.
all I watch.
No, watch the first episodes either tonight or tomorrow
Yeah, no,
and text me
I'll have to check it out because it
because
sounds
you'll
compelling,
be able.
man.
I think you can find them on Prime.
Bro, because it's
Um,
88 episodes. This is like a full show. And
yeah,
it sometimes it baffles me that you have a show and you've never heard of it. And it's got like 100 episodes, right?
it. I didn't know anything about it until it hit Netflix like years ago,
Oh,
maybe 10 years ago. Um, and that's where I watched it,
yeah.
and I was just enthralled with it. I
That's the
couldn't
good thing about
because
Netflix
it
is,
is
like,
much.
one of my favorite shows is, Mr. Robot. Like, that was on
Yeah,
Netflix, and it's like every time a show hits Netflix, it has like,
yeah,
White Collar was on Netflix. It's, like, one of the most
right,
watched things. And it's like, you the
right,
potential for the life of a show once it goes on to something like that is pretty great
yeah,
because people have it now. And it's like,
yeah,
I spend a lot of time railing against some of those things sometimes, but it's like, it's also a place that's very giving for the TV audience. So,
yeah.
I'm excited. I'll check
And
it out.
the crazy thing about Farscape is it is very much a foundation for a lot of other stuff that we've gotten now,
Yeah.
but not enough people talk about it.
Yeah, that's
Like,
kinda how it is
not enough
sometimes. It depends,
people.
like, sometimes it's, like, something that's in the zeitgeist, but it's, like, if there's something where it's, like, this did it first, like, someone watched this, somebody had
Yeah,
something to do with this?
it there are so many things. Like, if you like the show Psych, if you like a lot of the stuff that we have now, you're going to like Farscape, and if you like sci-fi, you're going to like Farscape.
Okay,
There's no doubt in my mind that you will like it. The amount of detail that they go into, they went to Australia to make sure that they stretched their money out as much as they could, and it shows in the show.
okay. Good to know.
And it's, like, really well written, like, so much so that they had comic book runs that were done after the fact
Interesting.
because people wanted
They
more
wanted
of
more
it,
of the
but they
story.
couldn't get. They wanted more of those characters, but couldn't get more TV wise because of the fact that it did cost so much to make.
Yeah.
And if you look at the sets, if you look at, all the stuff, it is very obvious that it would cost a lot of money to do
I
again.
mean,
So they had to do what they could in other forms of
we
media.
I was talking about streaming. You never know. Farscape revival. If the audience is there, they might
Everyone
they
is so much older now.
yeah.
Like Claudia Black, she's part of like the Uncharted series. She's done a lot of like voiceover work.
Okay.
They're all like, I don't know if they would do it again.
Yeah.
Then again, I don't know how they would be able to pick it up.
Yeah. That's the thing, right?
Um,
You have to crack
I
that
I
story
really
first. Is it worth telling? It's like sometimes it's like Psych. It's like you can tell little chapters of that story now, but do we need more?
yeah,
Not really.
yeah.
What we have
Like,
is fantastic. Like I don't want to touch that, you know?
yeah. I'm not gonna say anything too much about the finale. You were talking about how some shows you hate the way they ended.
Is it good or bad?
Hate the way that this show bad,
Bad. Okay.
very
Good
bad.
to know. I'll skip
But
it.
here's the thing. No, here's the thing. So, it was so bad because they were told on the set that they were being canceled,
Yeah.
like, as they were taping.
Dang.
So, they had to just come up with an ending.
Yeah.
They didn't even know that they were going to be canceled.
Yeah.
But Sci-Fi was like, "We're gonna cut the cord because this is in Australia. We're trying to save as much money as possible,"
Yep.
and they cut the cord. Here's the thing. At the time, the fandom was so big that they managed to crowdfund a movie
Wow.
to then be shot called The Peacekeeper Wars that were done as an actual ending to the show.
Dang. Okay.
So,
Like
you
I'm
watch the
surprised. Like I've
show.
heard of Farscape, but I didn't realize the lore was like this, man.
No,
You're
it is.
blown.
No,
I'm
yeah.
like, this is interesting,
I'm
man.
telling you, you have to watch
Because
the show.
I
But
haven't watched a new show. Like I Daredevil Born Again doesn't count, but like I haven't watched a really like a new show in like a year or 2 years. Like I rarely watch new shows right now just because it's been
right.
a lot of movie oriented stuff. But apparently I got to go pick this up.
If if you start watching it, I will restart watching it with you.
You don't need to do that. Let's see what
No,
happens.
no, I am due a rewatch. I
Okay,
am down to watch it again.
we'll see what
That's
happens.
the thing.
And then what's the other
But,
rec
yeah,
that you had though?
I had Twin Peaks, obviously.
Twin Peaks meaning
But
like watch the show. There's also a
watch the
movie,
show,
and then there's also Twin Peaks: The
um
Return.
right, but the reason I put Twin Peaks on there is because I wanted people to, if you hadn't seen Twin Peaks,
Yeah,
to watch it and then go back and watch that Dual Spires episode so you can
yeah.
realize how
But you
much
gotta watch
these
you
writers
gotta watch a
care
lot of
about
stuff.
entertainment.
Like
Right.
Twin Peaks. Between both seasons, the movie, and then the Return. It's a lot of stuff, but like
It is a lot.
honestly, is very giving. I think there's an episode of The Return that is like one of the
Right.
best things I've ever seen. 2017 is one of the best pieces of media put out. It was like I
Yeah.
remember watching Mr. Robot season 3 and then Twin Peaks: The Return at the same time, and I'm like, TV doesn't get better than this. I'm like, this is
No.
straight cinema, and I'm like, I'd
Yeah.
rather watch this on the big screen, but I'm like, I'll settle for it at home, I guess.
Yeah. And, like, right now, you can actually get Twin Peaks from Z to A, which has the original show, The Return, and Fire Walk with Me
Yeah.
on all-in-one Blu-ray set
Ooh.
for, like, 40 to 50 maybe on
Okay.
Amazon.
That's
Yeah, you'll have to look at it. I can't remember how much
that's
it was. I
pretty
got it on sale whenever I got
especially
it.
for because it's like the second season's it's a ton of episodes. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. No, it's the whole thing.
yeah, so I mean like that's
It's the whole thing.
worth it for the sometimes I'm like, yo, like the amount of cost to the it's like a game, right? Like a video game where it's like
Yeah,
you're paying
right, right.
$60, but like how many hours am I gonna play of this, right? So it's like
Right.
you're getting a lot for for that much.
You're getting a lot for what you're paying, yeah. It wasn't like 100, like, it was like 50,
And
60
it's like
bucks, I
I
think,
will
40 bucks?
preface Twin Peaks is like nothing you've ever seen, nothing else has ever been made like
No.
it before. It's kind of
Right.
it's weird. It really is weird, but invest because the payoff is fantastic. Watch Twin Peaks. We love Twin Peaks. Obviously,
Yeah,
they love Twin Peaks so much to make a whole episode for it. And
yeah,
this is like the definitive homage to Twin Peaks. No one's ever done this again. You know,
no,
people
and
oh
it's really hard
like
to do.
they might do something else like like oh yeah David Lynch made Dune and this is an inspiration even though whatever it is or like Mulholland Drive or something like that, but
Yeah.
that's Psych. I should have drawn a pineapple to put in the back or something.
I know, right? I didn't think about that.
But we love Psych. We hope you love it
Yeah,
too. That was our top 10. Technically, it's a top 5. I hope
yeah.
this is a new format. Drake, our average film critic. I'm glad that you came on for this kind of,
Yeah.
inaugurating this format. Plug, plug, plug. Where can people find you?
Just on Twitter right now, Average Film Dude. I'm working on a podcast
What's your
that
letterbox?
I'm letterbox. Ooh, that's a good question. My letterbox is AFD on Twitter, capital AFD on Twitter,
And
and you'll be able to find it.
I'll have everything linked below. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's Psych. And
Yep.
I know, that I'm not telling the truth. I'm, we start singing the whole intro.
I know, right?
Alrighty, peace and love. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Bye.